Welcome, everyone. It is GG Million time. It is the episode 39, season 2023. We got Jonathan Jaffe joining today. Jonathan, how are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Doing well. I'm excited. This is always, this is big names, big prizes. Today, there are some very familiar faces. I think we were both saying we recognize pretty much everyone but one player. So that's always fun, too. Have a wild card in there. And then some of the most experienced and brightest stars in the world, some names you will definitely know. And there you can see the resume for Jonathan Jaffe. Over 11 million in tournament earnings, taking down the Alpha 8 one drop there for a healthy score. And actually, we had to reschedule you last week for another Jaffe, our second favorite Jaffe. We put Jared in there because you were deep in the Hard Rock main event. I think you finished fifth, if I'm not mistaken, for another six-figure score. So it's good to have you this week.
Thanks. Is next week going to be Will Jaffe?
Listen, he's invited as well. I've talked to Will. He's up for that. That would be fun. That would be fun to do the triple in a row. I'll see if we can pull it off.
Yeah.
That is not easy. But today, 1.58 million in the prize pool. Of course, again, a lot of entries, a lot of big names. There's satellite opportunities. You can get in for as little as, I believe, $10. And today, first prize, $321,152 up top. Everyone guaranteed $45,000. This is from Sunday. Final table stops, pauses, and we get to call the action today. 901.58 remain. And again, the Adamo, I know that is one of the biggest names in poker. He is definitely on and off line playing a lot, and someone I believe you've played with most of these players. And I think Ramiro, maybe you said you hadn't, but he is the chip leader, and he does have a very impressive resume here on the GG Millions as well. We'll be talking about who you know, who you like. We'll do our draft. We'll have a dinner wager on that. We'll get the audience involved as well. And any player here you've played the most with or stand out the most experience with?
Played the most with possibly Pavel back in the day, just because some of these guys like Adamo I hadn't played with until a couple of years ago. Pavel's been around a long time, and I think he played a fair amount of things at WSOP and whatnot over the years. He's come to Florida a couple of times. I would say he's who I've actually played the most with.
Yeah, he's a very impressive player. I've seen him really dominate as of late, and just kind of one of those guys you also see live have big results and win some major events or have big stacks down the stretch. And honestly, one of the more stacked final tables I can remember. There's so many names, so many household players, and this is more normal. I'm seeing two Brazilian flags. We've been missing our Brazilians here. They are normally have at least one seat reserved. This time two, making up for last week, and then the Austria barely. Sometimes they have up to 4 or 5 players representing today. Just one, Leonard Mao, if I'm pronouncing the last name right, very talented player on the short stack there. He is representing the Austrians today. So we're going to do a snake draft. We'll start red or black, let you choose a color, and we can do a dinner wager. We'll go, you can either take first or second and third pick, and then it alternates, and we'll play for dinner. We're in the region. We're in the same area, man. We got to have a nice dinner out one night. So
sounds good.
For that, yeah. We'll do that.
I'll take red.
Call it. Red. Okay, you got red, I got black. We are gonna pick up the action here. The nice suited ace deuce, sort of early position, and a little bit of an awkward stack off that 21 blind stack. What do you think about that ace deuce suited there to give that up? Is that a close one?
It's very close. I think that's a really close spot off 20 bigs here, though. I like the fold. I think it's just right there where we're not folding the ace 4 suited, and the 2 and 3 are tough.
And tell me why. How big a difference does that actually make to have like ace 4 suited versus ace 2 suited? Because that is a very little nuance there.
Not much. I'm pulling it from charts more than anything. It's one of those things. In the end, there's going to be that slight difference of big blind defends, say pocket 3s or 2s or whatnot, and just that little difference here and there. I think sends you over the top. You kind of have to draw the line somewhere.
And yeah, it makes that's very interesting and makes sense. And it is a game of, like golf, game of inches. There's a lot of little differences that really can end up becoming a big difference in your day or your results. So that is interesting to note. Now you can see him hesitate there. He was thinking about it. As we see, no real dominant stack today, pretty tight. This is bunched up, so this is a lot of ICM pressure, a lot of there's a big difference between ninth and first, and of course between second and third and 6 or 7. So let's see how the players kind of combat that, if they go aggressive or they sort of ladder. It's always fun to watch the different players and their strategies here. And Michael Adamo, where's he hiding over there? He's in there with 2.5 million. Guy, have you played a lot with him? You said not as much except for the recent year or two.
Yeah, recently played a fair amount on Triton together. Yeah, I mean he's a phenomenal player. He's definitely been taking more time off, at least from live poker, the past 6 months or so. I didn't see him as much. Coming from Australia, a lot of these places it's a long trip to get there, so it's a real commitment. There's not many stops where he can just kind of pop in casually and play for a week. It's a real commitment if you're going to leave Australia, New Zealand. Um, yeah, I think
Yeah.
right away, something I was interested in was how Lucky Ming was going to play that small blind with Queen Jack. Just seeing the fold, which seems perfectly reasonable, but he's the wild card here, the guy we don't know so much. So that was interesting.
And it is a black flop, so I will go ahead and take first or second and third. And I think I'm actually, it's a bit of a decision because there's a bunch of close stacks here. So that's that is, let's see this hand play out. I'm gonna give it a thought. King nine, 8-9, and there is a, what's that? The nine, King nine. Gonna go ahead and hit a nice card there. Get the winning hand. Pieter Alert's very tough player. Every player here has won the GG Million other than Lucky Ming, I believe, which is also
Mm,
very rare. There's times there's only
hmm
2 or 3 winners, and today 8 of 9. And Michael Adamo has 6 titles, I think, tied for the most or second. He is at least right in there. I think there's only a few other players that have won more than 5. So he is in sort of a league of his own in this particular table. But I'm
How
gonna
long
go
are you
ahead.
going to push this pick back?
I'm gonna push it back for this hand. No, I'll take I'm gonna go second and third. So you can have the first
All
pick.
right. Yeah, that's a good move. I got to take Ramiro. That's enough of a stack difference where I don't even, go beyond that.
All right, I'm gonna take Adamo, and I will take my Brazilian friend Rodrigo there with the 2.4.
Boyka.
Okay, Boyka, good pick. Pieter Alerts just seems to always get it done. Gonna go with him.
Okay. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lucky Ming.
Wow, takes the wild card. I love it. I'll go with Pavel, man. This guy's just
Yeah.
talented. I like to have him.
Pedro.
Good pick. So is that 4-4? We got one left, right? The short stack. Is that right?
Yeah,
What I heard?
Leonard.
All right,
Yeah.
I think we each have 4. So because we'll put him as a wash if he can come back. We'll just make it 4 picks apiece. The audience,
Okay.
if one of my players win, you get a 100 GG ticket. If one of Jonathan's win, you get 50. And I also have a tweet that should be going out here momentarily for a $50 cash retweet opportunity. So we'll get that link in the chat for you. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let us know where you're watching from. We're fired up. We got big names today, big prizes, and Jonathan Jaffe, big time guest. That's what we do. GG Million, man. This is we got to get you as a viewer weekly, man. You said you haven't seen a ton of them. You've checked in, and this is a good
hmm
way to study. I want to ask you about studying for a second.
Yeah.
Do you watch Triton replays? Do you watch final table replays? How valuable is that in studying, or is that just sort of like a bonus in terms of what you
I
do for your
do,
work?
yeah. Playing Tritons, watching the Triton replays, especially the final table, is getting an idea for how people approach different spots. Super helpful. And then, of course, like we see here, like put yourself in Pieter's spot. That's really tough. Do you want to flat that? Do you want to 3-bet it pre-flop? It's when you're playing poker, you're getting, a couple decisions per 10 minutes sometimes even less than that. But when you're watching like this, it's just phenomenal. There's like, almost never a hand that goes by where there wasn't something to think about. So yeah, it's pretty cool seeing cards up, and especially the pace of play you get in something like GG Millions. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to process.
You're right. I mean, again, just sort of a little difference. Do you 3-bet? Do you flat? What sizing to use? And the reasons why. There's so much to consider. People behind you, ICM, stack sizes. There's a lot going on. So it is always cool to sort of guess what these players will do and why, and then kind of learn
Mhm.
from it. And how different is it online and live though? In terms of like, are you taking like, okay, you play a Damo, you see him here. Are you going to take this as like, oh, it's a final table and Triton, and are you considering it? You'll make notes about that, or do you think it's just a completely different game?
Somewhere in the middle. I think that, your technical skills are more important online, particularly because you have to be more than proficient in sub 30 big blinds. You're just playing sub 30 so much more often. But additionally, if I'm watching, say, a Triton replay, that ace queen that Pieter flatted, probably no one flats it in under 25 seconds because they want to balance their live tells and whatnot. It's very cool when, you know, you're not seeing a person, you know, their image is not, it's just an avatar and they don't have to worry about that. So you see a lot more snap actions. So there's just really a lot more time to see more spots. So that's really cool that, you know, when you're watching something like this, you just get so many hands to look over.
It's a good point as well. Well, that is going to be a good result for Pieter there, who has 2.4 million. Adamo did peel the king 10 with the price on there. Thought he's beating some hands and got to showdown and was not winning that hand. Interested in, well, but in terms of betting or not betting, what are some pros and cons there for Pieter on the river as that 8 pairs?
Yeah, when his kicker is out of play, it's a really thin value bet. I probably can't find that bet. I think the check looks really reasonable, but I didn't see the price that he bet on the turn. I was interested in Adamo's check call because Pitter has a really, really slim group of bluffs. You know, with that early position flat, you're thinking about like tens turning into a bluff, maybe jacks. It's just I'm struggling to find the bluffs so much. It just didn't look like a good flatting spot pre. So I wondered about Adamo's check call with the king 10. Again, I didn't see the size though. Seemed like a very tough call to make.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. Let me see. Yeah, I was curious what he would do on the river there. I mean, that is, you know, he had such a big lead in the hand. He had the nut flush draw. He had the best hand. He had to fade the king 10 that was not a heart, but obviously in his shoes, he felt confident. And then the river wasn't a great one. He decided to check back as he is going to get 3-bet here, opening
Pretty
8
juicy
of the
spot for
card.
Pedro. This is going to be pretty brutal for Ramiro.
Yeah, and you know, with the queens though, it is under the gun and then middle position 3-betting. Obviously, it's a lot of hand. You do have 23 blinds or something. You just got to take it. And
Yeah.
what do you think he does with tens there, Jacks? I mean, it
Tens, I
starts
think,
getting
are
a little
hitting the muck
dicey.
pretty easily. Jacks are that's the border. That's the real tough one. I think if he did anything but shove queens, I would have been very surprised. But
Yeah.
jacks is super difficult. A lot of that consideration is, you know, of course, how wide is Pieter opening under the gun? Does he have the kind of stack that could be opening like sevens, or is it, you know, a nines plus situation? And then, of course, Ramiro, you know, with his chip lead, has a little bit of leverage, even though he's not that far ahead of Pieter. And that all plays into Pedro's decision, you know, if he had jacks or if he had ace queen suited, some of the more difficult hands. Next
Well,
call.
he's going to 3-bet call it off, and he is in trouble. Let's see if he can get bailed out here. Clean flop, 7-3-3. Queens far in the lead. Has to fade the river here, and it is a 1 card, 3 out to come. Not going to be it. That is going to be a big double and going to put the Brazilian back into very healthy spot. Even got the extra open there from Pieter. So good spot. And I mean, really stacks are just so tight now. Look, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's like 2.2, 2.2, 2 million, 2.3, 2.3, 2.2. And Lucky Ming right there with 1.7 as well. So like it is really, everyone's basically even. And then Leonard is short and Pavel is, you know, 50% of the other guys. But this is an unusual stack size distribution.
It's interesting the question you asked me about Jack's and Pedro's spot, because that's probably what Ramiro was considering that whole time. If he believes that he's shoving Jacks, I think he's probably got to call that ace queen, because that probably means ace queen suited's in there too. Maybe a slim chance of tens. Now the ace queen wants to call it off. If Jacks aren't in that shoving range, seems like a pretty easy fold. Maybe not easy, but a fold.
Yep. Yeah. Again, really, really, this is the things the players are thinking about. It's great to get high level analysis, and Jonathan does provide that. He has been, how long have you been playing since the start, right? 2003, 4. You've been in that same kind of time frame
Yeah,
here,
18
20-year
years.
window.
Yep.
Yep. It's got poker's interesting time right now. You know, it's there's a lot going on. Live poker's thriving online. It's good to see these 10Ks still getting very healthy numbers, and you know, there's a lot of different forms of poker, mystery bounties, and variations. People are playing 5-card, 6-card poker now. It's just there's a lot going
Mm-hmm.
on. What is your thought of poker health online and live, and just in the community?
Yeah, I think it's doing pretty well. I think, everyone has a little bit of bias based on the ecosystem they're in. And my ecosystem right now is high stakes live tournaments. And then also, I am an American. So, for me, online poker is going to be contingent on whether or not it comes back to the States in a big way. We got a two pair versus top pair here. But, yeah, I think, cash games have taken kind of an ugly turn where it's in the high stakes gotten very privatized, which I think is pretty unfortunate. But I think tournament health looks really good and people are excited about tournaments. You see a lot of people kind of looking for that second wind in poker where they say, I got very successful in my industry and now, I have some leisure time and money. I want to get really good at poker. And you see some people who are recreationals now taking it really seriously and becoming kind of semi-pros, if not just winners at super high stakes.
Yeah, it really is. It's been an interesting time, and it does seem numbers are up everywhere live, and it's been good. And ace nine just gonna bin it there. Pretty
It's a hell of a
impressive
fold.
fold.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Just
really nice fold from Boyka.
yeah, just sort of recognizing too he's gonna be dead to a flush. He's losing the two pairs and even possibly kicker issues. So he's sort of in no man's land with that ace nine. I guess he beats some,
I think that
semi
nine of
bluff like
clubs
king
might
queen
be a
off
pretty
or
ugly card to have if you're thinking about Adamo's bluffs. Certainly he has some king of hearts hands, but
yeah.
that nine blocking a 9-10 jack nine, tough to say if Adamo's opening jack 9-0 in the cutoff there, but I would think so. So I think Boyka made a sneaky, really good fold.
Yeah, and looking at it, and you can talk it through, it makes sense. But the in game, it's kind of hard. You just that is a big fold and a nice pickup. And Pedro having himself quite a final table, going to pair up close to the Brazilian there with a 2.1 million stack, almost off 2.3. But I would say again, it's fun. Tournaments are so many different situations, but this is a very rare one. We have not really seen a final table nine-handed with essentially everyone the same. I mean, it's Leonard is who also may get a double here. What's it? 2049 blinds, king eight off,
There he
realizing that
goes.
he's got the risk premium so low. It's time to go, and we could tighten things up even more if a king or an eight can pair. Now an ace would be good as well, or a seven. So still has outs, or we will be eight-handed. Let's see. It is not to be, and Leonard is going to go out, and we are eight-handed. And again, now we officially have. I mean, this is like I gotta like screenshot this. I don't think I've ever seen it this tight, and it's just like everyone is in the game right now. It's
Yeah, they
wide
really
open
are.
for who wants to win it. And Pavel again, one of the more experienced players who is short now at the million, but still 25 blinds, plenty of chips to play with here. And Adamo, he's an interesting one to play with, right? The guy's he's known to be aggressive, puts you in a lot of spots. Ace Jack off going to open, Pieter going to flat the Ace 10 suit. It seems pretty reasonable, right? You don't really want to three bet it. You don't really want to just fold. So flatting seems okay and a pretty
Hmm.
connected board here. Very, very wet. Jack 10 8, two diamonds, and Peter and Adamo both connect.
Yeah, I think twice we've seen now with Peter having the option to three bet Adamo and both times going for a flat relatively quickly. It might say something about his approach to Mike here, where he's just saying, look, he's opening wide potentially. I'm, doing quite well against his range, but at the same time, he's potentially a loose cannon to four bet me, and I don't want to find myself in those spots with so much ICM pressure, all these even stacks. So, I'm not saying the ace 10 suited is necessarily a light flat, but hijack versus UTG1, there's not many flats. That's a pretty tough spot to be playing a flat. And ace 10 suited, it's a good hand, but it's not premium. So, we might be getting something about how Peter is approaching Adamo here. Another thing I want to mention, a hand before I thought was really interesting. Some of the best things you pick up are relatively small. And when Pedro opened under the gun one, Ramiro snap folded ace 4-0 in the big um, with a slightly covering stack, or no, actually about the same stack. I thought that was really interesting in that it's not necessarily bad. I probably would have called myself, but I think most people are mixing call with the occasional big three bet. And, there absolutely are some tight folds from ace X. But I think that ace 4-0 is going to get played very differently in different people's hands.
It's a good point. And interesting on the bust hand there. with about 10 blinds, king eight off. I mean, he is the shortest, right? The risk premium is literally he's got to move, right? It's time. He can't just say he's not going to ladder. What do you think there? Is that very standard king eight off, or do you think that, he could go ICM wise a little bit tighter, or just the fact that he was so short? He was thinking
I
that I
would
can have the best hand.
certainly call. Personally, I tend to be calibrated a little bit differently because I've been playing live and not online.
Mhm.
And in the live tournaments, at least the ones that I've been in, they're a little more top heavy, so there's a little less pressure at this stage. Meaning the king eight, I think, is a slam dunk call. With these payouts, I'm not quite as familiar, which again is why maybe Ramiro's ace 4-0 fold is a little bit more reasonable than I was thinking. But seeing this 5-4 clubs 3-bet, this is interesting. This is not something you see too many times at final tables. Maybe he's going after Lucky Ming for one reason or another.
Yeah, he's going to go after it, and the ace queen off is going to connect in a major way and not go anywhere. Curious, he'll check raise or just call. Let him. He just does put some rope out there.
Yeah. This could go south for him if a 7 or a spade comes.
Yeah, he could also. This could be close his eye, call down. But you're right. If a spade did come,
Leads.
another spade roll out, he's going to lead out. Very interesting. This is, if you're Ramiro, I mean, this is I guess a way to get off cheaply, abort this plan, but also at some point you're kind of thinking, man, is there a way I could double down and what does this guy have? Like I
Yeah,
three
you
bet,
see
he just
this.
flatted, like
Yeah. It's kind of a peculiar lead. Maybe he spazzes.
Ramiro saw this going differently, but now he's here, turn, facing a bet, decent amount in the middle. Lucky Ming just gonna get himself right into that 2.234 mil club, right in joining the fun with all the other players. So literally nothing separates the players between 2.6 and 1 million effectively, but there is literally like a 7-way, is that right? There's 7 players that are about between 2 and 2.5 million. That is not normal.
Yeah. It's like we're seeing a really similar spot to the last clash. Oh no, Rodrigo solo on flats here. So Pavel's got to decide whether he's shoving or 3-betting. Seems like still got a 3-bet there.
Yeah, I mean it's a great spot. You could pick up some chips. I mean, he doesn't always have to be bladed, and he is though. He's got the goods, the absolute cookies, and ace queen though. Now again, you're in a tough spot because you're flatting. You're sort of top of your flatting range. It's not a
Yeah.
trap, and now you're realizing that you're either way ahead or way behind, and also the implied odds not quite. There's not a 2 million, 2.4 stack. Right? It's effectively
Mhm.
it's a million. It's awkward.
Yeah, he's got a really tough decision because his hand is not terribly different from, having an ace 5 suited in this situation. You could say that he's going to flip against jacks. It's debatable whether Pavel would shove or squeeze the jacks.
Yeah.
Um, Probably would squeeze jacks as well. Big fold, very big fold.
Yeah, he didn't make a meal over it, got rid of it relatively quickly. And again, these players pretty familiar with themselves, play the high stakes, regulars on the GGMillion, and also live some of these players battle as well. So I think there's a lot of history here, and that's something. Tell me, Jonathan, with yourself, you play the highest stakes, you play Tritons, and these sort of high buy-in short fields, and then you play the main events, and we just saw you got deep in the Hard Rock, you got fifth. How many entries was that? 1,200, 1,100, or something? 15? It was a
Yeah,
lot, right?
right in there. Looks like they didn't shuffle. What's going on here?
Well, they just threw the ace queen on the other side. Pavel gets the same kings. Don't know if it's the same suits, but yeah, again, like it
Ace
looks like
queen is
Pavel
garbage
just.
at this table.
Yeah, I mean, this is my least favorite hand of all the playable hands. So I don't look at this. These guys know. They've been
Yeah, they
watching it.
do.
They know to get rid of it. They know to
Making
how
great
just
folds.
yeah, just getting out of the way. And my question, how do you approach differently the two? Because they are such different types of players and field size and stamina and just all different things you need. Like what do you prefer? If you said, hey, I'm going on a week
I'm
long.
distracted. That limp throws me. This is Ramiro's got some moves here between the 5-4 suited 3-bet, now the limp. Sorry, I'll come back to your question. Yeah, the different approach in the main events versus like a Triton. Is that the question?
Yeah, just like what do you I guess that, and also which would you prefer? Is it like going to, Triton's such a tough example because it's such a world-class event and situation, and they really do
Yep.
cater to the high stakes. But I don't know, give me give me your preference in general. If it was like a 25K, not necessarily trade, just like a 25K
Sure,
high stakes.
WSOP
Yeah.
25K. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or a 50 to a 60 person 25K, or like a main event 5K. What do you prefer?
Great question. Yeah, like you said, kind of pulling Triton out because Triton, I mean, they treat us like we're professional golfers or tennis players or something. It's just like unreal, positive treatment. So that's gonna be my favorite. If I could be like final 5% of a field, I would prefer to be final 5% of like a WPT, because you just you don't need to follow many of the rules that you do against good players. You can kind of follow your intuition a lot more. You can be very exploitative in all directions. I really enjoy that. I feel like it keeps my brain engaged in you know even more levels. I don't think that you do the most thinking. Wow, it's going to be a good one for Ramiro. um I think that that kind of activates the most regions in my brain compared to when you're playing 25, 30 big blinds against all crushers. On the one hand, you want to be very you want to play really sharp, but there's not so much room for exploitative play. So yeah, being deep in a main event type field is very exciting. And of course, the ultimate one would be the WSOP main, because now you have both the high stakes for the prize pool, as well as just a relatively low quality of average player.
And what did you think about that? That was interesting. The limp, and then there was a raise and a squeeze, and then a Ramiro. Though, that was a fascinating hand.
He had a hell of a spot when it came back to him. That's a lot of action. I don't think anyone's treating his limp like it's garbage. So, he's got to have some reservations. But yeah, he sussed it out correctly and decided that maybe it was an attack on the limp, an attack on the attacker. Realistically, those guys just both had really good candidates to put the money in. But yeah, he regained a lot of those chips that sailed away on the 5-4 clubs.
Yeah, and here he gets another hand. I mean, he's actually been getting very playable hands that have just sort of either been behind, or I mean, we saw him make the right decision there and get the ace queen suited, get it right, and knock down the hand. But this is I mean, this shouldn't be that. Yeah, this isn't much to think about. This one's a lot different spot now. Here, Pavel with that tier one ace king suited. I mean, we're
Yeah.
just gonna see five here, I imagine. Same thing though. His risk premium too. He is the next shortest stack.
Sure. To be honest,
Yeah.
Ramiro's played like the wild card in this. Lucky Ming, for the most part, outside of maybe that ace queen lead on the turn, played pretty reasonable. But Ramiro throwing down that ace queen suited limp, that was pretty interesting. I think he's definitely the guy I have the least feel for right now, what we're going to see out of him.
Yeah, and no free roll, ace king, ace king. Each player going to pair the king. No one had a diamond, so that's going to be a chop pot. And you know, it's tough when these big spots, big final tables. You get in the ace king, ace king. It hurts when someone gets free rolled. So no blood there. It's going to still be 8-handed. As we see, we've lost one player. The short stack goes out. Everyone pretty healthy right now, chip wise. So we have a lot of play today. This definitely has the making. It could go for a while, right? When everyone's this tight in chips, it just sort of feels like that.
There's the
These
Adamo
players
Open.
also, yeah.
That was interesting. I think he might be the only guy at the table who was going to open that Queen 9-0 and the hijack. So he's falling through with reputation. If I had first pick again, I think it's really close between him and Ramiro because yeah, that 500K difference. But Mike plays for the win. I don't think Mike's folding ace 4-0 in the big line.
No, he's got a little different playbook than the rest, and definitely people are alert to it, but it's still difficult to play against, right? It's just
Super
they're going
tough.
aggressive. It's like you can be like, oh yeah, he does over bets and he's making some difficult plays. You can level yourself too. That's also why he gets so many chips, right? He knows
Yeah.
he pushes big pots and then he makes people make hero calls and he gets paid off. So it's fun to watch. And who would you say? How many players play at the highest level like similar to him? There's a few players that have a similar style, but he sort of does have his own. He really does have a unique
Yeah.
style.
I would say if you back things up like 3 years ago or whenever he was kind of in the middle of his sun run where, he could not lose, I would say nobody played like him. I think he was really ahead of the pack on a lot of that stuff. But then if you are to kind of fast forward to today, I think, once people are a little more familiar with that playbook, he's calmed down a little bit, certainly against the players he respects. But he's still kind of one of a kind.
Yeah, I'd say I can't really, there's a couple, but not too many that just jump out at me where I'd say, yeah, they play similar. So I don't know. He's yeah, it is interesting. He just seems to always have the chip lead or be out. And that's definitely
If
a
he
fun
makes
way to
hands,
play.
he's going to get stacks. It's unavoidable. You can't make big folds to a guy who's so willing to put money in with, attractive bluffs, and he just doesn't shy away.
Yeah, it is impressive how much he gets away with it though, and then how much he gets paid. Because you just think like, oh yeah, he's going to flame out a lot or get called, but there's just so many times it works, and he's just accumulating chips and playing bigger pots. But we'll see if he can get it done. He does have 6 titles in this format, the GG Million, which again is a record, or I want to say second. I think there is another player, maybe Artur Mortuzi, that has 6 or 7. Nicholas Ostad also in that neighborhood. Ole Shemian just took down another one. He's also won several. Very tough player, live and online. And I think Ramiro has 2. A few of these players again have 2, and some have 1. The only one who does not have, Lucky Ming would be the one today that
Gotcha.
is only not have a title that
Let
is.
me ask you, does the prize pool ever fluctuate in big ways? Are there ever like GG Millions where there's a promotion and it's like twice the size, or is it pretty
Oh yeah.
steady?
No,
Yeah.
there's million. There's been multiple times it's a million plus to first
Oh,
on these.
wow.
Yeah, it
Wow.
gets
That's
big. It
awesome.
gets big. They'll throw it in like a series, and they have some
Very
special
cool.
ones. So yeah, and this is a Pavel with the 8-9. Not really. Yeah, doesn't believe there's really no hand he can beat. Let's see if he wants to do something here. Although
He's got a
I'll
cool
go.
combo here, blocking like some of the ace nine, ace eight that are probably going to play exactly like this. I think this is a pretty cool bluff that's probably not going to work.
In you. So what? So he just was it check on the.
Checked all the way down.
Interesting. Ramiro doesn't feel like a guy I want to try to bluff too much. He's got limping. He likes playing pots. He pot controls. He gets in a lot of spots. He seems sticky. I don't know, but let's see.
I agree. I think Pablo's got a good combo to try it. The fact that you're even seeing this hesitation from Ramiro is pretty cool, because certainly I don't think Pablo expects an ace to fold almost ever. Phenomenal. I mean, wow. If you can get ace nine to fold there, it's pretty tough for Ramiro to have a better hand than that. So I think that's reasonably exploitative by Ramiro, feeling like, kind of guessing wrong there, that Pablo just does not have much in the way of bluffs in that spot.
Yeah. Also, the sizing. Nice sizing from Pavel. Not going for some small bet, or he's really targeting sort of medium pairs and just trying to get some hands to fold. But like the health of that bet made it difficult. You see the ace just getting an ace even to fold, which factors in. Definitely not going to fold for much less than that, right? For a half pot.
Yeah.
Something he's not going to
I
fold.
think that's one of the best things you see when you're watching, 8 guys play poker is it's people tend to spend a lot of time pondering on the close decisions. Like take Pieter's ace queen of hearts against Adamo, both pre-flop and, flop and turn, that early hand against the king 10-0. And that's an interesting hand. But then there's these outliers. Every time you watch a final table, you're probably going to see 3 or 4 decisions that you were positive of how the guy would react with his given hand, and you're just dead wrong. And that's kind of a reminder that this is still a game being played by humans, and humans make decisions based on their intuition, which sometimes are going to be terrible, sometimes fantastic. But it just kind of humbles you that even when you see the cards, you don't even know what they're going to do.
Yeah, it is fun to watch, and again, it's a treat. There's so many notes, and it's so many things that you think about. These are definitely hands you can pin, you can take a replay and then send it to a friend and discuss, because it is cool to get insights and try to understand and guess why. But then also a lot of times you just may not know. You might be like, well, I'm actually not sure why someone did this in this spot, but this is what you can discuss with your friends.
Sometimes they just didn't have a snack. They're just too hungry, and they punted it off.
That's true. Yeah, they got a dinner date, they got whatever, they're bored, there's different they're randomizer now. That's the one that I gotta ask about randomizing because there's been some like really mixed opinions and I know amongst the high stakes, it's definitely a thing. People do it, but like, could you explain? Because to me, it just seems like that's so it can be. Well, I'm not saying to me, how it appears at times it's almost like could be a cop out like, oh yeah, I did this and randomized, right? Like some like crazy play that you made or your
Sure.
backer, someone's like, oh, what happened here? Like, yeah, I this is whatever. So
Yeah.
tell me how you differentiate that and why that's good, and do you do that, or is that a secret
Yeah.
if you do or
Yeah.
not, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's a few layers to that conversation. So what you just said, I think, might be one of the funnier parts of it, which is the kind of not taking accountability for your play, where you can just, it's like you do anything bad in your life, and you're just like, oh, there's no free will.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you can just, I only bluffed because the randomizer told me to. But then,
Mhm.
yeah, as far as whether or not to do it, I think what it implies essentially is that you don't feel like your natural ability to range this player and expect how he's going to react to you is worth anything extra beyond how it looks at equilibrium. And so you're saying, look, I'm going to submit to this randomizing so that I stay balanced. I'm not trying to play rocks, paper, scissors with this guy, which, if you truly respect your opponent as either a peer or a better player, at least in this situation that you find yourselves in, that's probably a pretty good idea. I personally don't do it because I just enjoy feeling like I have the control over the decision, and I like feeling the accountability, both in the positive and the negative, even though it's painful when it goes poorly. But I definitely think that it has its time and place when you really respect your opponent, especially if they're studying your tendencies, because often you will be leaning into one bias or another, whether it's a bias because it's the only part of the tree you know, or it's a bias because you've been using this to exploit players who you think, whether it's over c betting a certain spot. Well, if someone is really good and they're familiar with your tendencies and have watched you on stream or whatnot, then they can flip that on you and make it really painful. And in a situation like that, like if I knew someone was extraordinarily familiar with my tendencies, randomizing would definitely be a good idea.
Really, yeah, it's really good insight there. And this has been an interesting hand where it was ahead. This is very rare, but it was King 10 ahead pre-flop, Jack 7 on the flop, King 10 on the turn, Jack 7 on the river. So full yo-yo of events. The Jack 7 does make two pair, has a heart, loses to a variety of hands, but too much hand decides as the hand was played to not call, does call. Brazil takes a big pot. And Ramiro, who was chip leader, although very tight among stacks today, he is now in sort of the, I don't know, I don't even know what you call this right now. It's just kind of bunched up in the sort of middle-ish of everything, but not leading by any means, as Adamo
Mhm.
will start to go to work. And again, this is an ace-9
Another
suited. You got
wide
an
open.
aggressive player. Yep, wide open. And then Lucky Ming behind lurking there with something serious. So going to be a 3-bet, and Lucky Ming may be his lucky day, especially when you get these type of raise, re-raise, and they don't really have anything, and you get a hand where you're kind of like, it's be not great to flip here if somehow I run into queens or jacks, but he's just like, nope, upstairs. And he quick work of that, picking up a nice pot and going to assert
Great
himself
pickup.
actually as chip leader for the moment, 2.856, basically tied with Adamo. And we
You can
have a
see how
little
the dominoes
separation.
just kind of continue to fall when someone like Adamo is opening some extra hands. Then you've got Boyka kind of no doubt three betting the ace-9 suited, and all of this to the benefit of Lucky Ming. Just anybody, one player ramping up the aggression, by 10% or something, 10% extra holdings, it can really just, stimulate the action and everyone behind.
Yeah, absolutely can. Little ace deuce suited, gonna flatten nines, jack 7-7. Pretty safe flop for nines, but again, the big blind defend range can be wider, so could have more sevens here. And this is definitely not like a amazing flop, but I'd say above average for nines. And see how he proceeds. He got blown off last time with the check down from Pavel, just deciding that, hey, I'm going to take a shot. So it's interesting. And a similar dynamic on a board that, yeah. So look, he's deciding, hey, this favors me, and
It's
let's
two for
see
two
what
with
happens.
Ramiro kind of checking back these tweener hands that could find a bet, could find a check. You know, maybe well, he did bet 10% before at the 5-4 clubs. I was thinking maybe he doesn't like using small sizes. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean the 10, he blocks 8-9, sort of a bluff that might be in there. I mean, he had nines anyway, so that's not likely. He's just kind of thinking, yeah, now though I get a bet here. This card is a little unsettling too. I just think that this is unless it's an errant bluff, like you're not doing great, right? Against, I guess he's gonna be happy to check this back.
Yeah, Pavel's ace of spades is a really tough card to be bluffing with. You know, he really just doesn't want to have that in the bluffing range here when the auto folds that you would expect from Ramiro are going to be some ace king of spades, ace queen of spades, you know, maybe ace nine of spades, ace eight of spades occasionally, and then
Yeah.
potentially an ace of spade king, ace of spade queen.
Yeah, he did have this semi bluff to the nut flush paired board, but he does give up on the river, as you said. That reasons why that wouldn't be a fantastic hand to be bluffing there, although nines would have had a tough time. This is going to play out where Pavel is now blind on blind with a million and Adamo. Both players have a nice looking PLO kind of sneaky hand if they combine, but other than that, not much here. 8-5 off, 6-4 off, and Adamo certainly. He's almost like, man, do I have to raise this? I know this, like, it's almost like, I know I'm aggressive. Is this a trap? But no, he just still goes for it and just looks like it's gonna.
I don't know if do I have to ever crosses Mike's mind when he's got a trash hand. I think it's oh, I get to.
You're right. That's a good point. I'm just saying, almost like he feels like sometimes he might be getting set up, and it's like he knows they know, but like he just, exactly. He just, it doesn't
That might
matter.
be us projecting.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good opportunity.
I
Picks it
feel
up
that way
again.
sometimes.
Almost to 2.8 million, and Pavel going to get aces. And Ramiro really has been getting sort of second fiddle. He's getting like all these like sort of mandatory hands to open or play, and then he's just getting people that have playable hands, and the flat could serve Pavel in a big way. If you're going to flat aces, this is like the dream spot. King 8-4 rainbow, and your opponent does nuke top pair. This is going to be interesting. Ramiro's going to come out betting.
Yeah, Ramiro's only concern is that he's up against pocket eights, really.
Right. Ace king is not there
and
now.
That's been ameliorated by the 8 on the turn. Yeah. You're just like thrilled to get money in right now as Ramiro. This is pretty brutal for him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a diamond either. I mean, there could be, there's some hands could float that are suited or, whatever. This is just looking great for him, but it's really a nightmare. And now that even takes away the queen out, he is going to need, I mean, this is like textbook aces on a run out at the moment. Has to fade a king and a king only, and it is a jack. And Ramiro is in a tough spot here. And this SPR one, it's like what, 2/3? It's like less than pot for Pavel. And see if
it's not a thrilling river. I mean, I don't see how he doesn't put the rest in, but you're definitely worried about the king jack of diamonds, only one combo. You're not value betting at too many hands. You'd think that Pavel he probably doesn't call nines or tens on the turn. It's a weird spot. He does make a nice check. It's pretty tricky to try and figure out what you're value betting at on the river as Ramiro. It's some pretty heroic calls.
Yeah, and don't envy his spot here. This is not fun. But he might be able to suss it out. You think he can get away from this? I mean, as played, it's just like, it's a pretty interesting run out.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think you'd have as bluffs if you're Pavel? It's pretty tricky to figure them out. Probably doesn't flat 5-6 suited or 6-7 suited pre-flop off 20.
Right.
Diamond combos, you could see like an ace, queen of diamonds, ace, jack of diamonds. You don't see any bluff coming from ace, jack of diamonds here.
Right. Yeah, you hit the jack, you just hope you're winning. So, you're winning now. So, yeah, exactly. It's
a pretty bizarre spot, I think, where I'm like ace, queen of diamonds and don't have much else beyond that. Like maybe ace, 10 of diamonds took a loose peel on the flop seems reasonable. But I mean, I'm coming up with 2 combos. That's not very good. Nice fold. Really nice.
Yeah. In game, it's definitely hard, and especially when you don't see the whole cards. No, it is. That's one thing. It's like you're saying, talk it through, and it makes sense. But it's just, yeah, you could definitely think. Wouldn't fault him for calling. He gets away. Pavel will chip up, executed nicely with the aces here. Gets a real hand nines, and take away Damo's button open with the suited low cards, and Pieter with a lot of hand here and against the cutoff with a goes for a call and hits Yahtzee and nines. Got to feel like a fairly safe flop. One over. It is about the worst situation you could have. The nines there. I mean, just absolutely just crushes that flop. 10 with the spade draw. Small bet, most likely, or I mean, I guess yeah. I'm gonna
That's
bet,
how.
and now Pieter just. I mean, just so much hand here.
Yeah.
Well, 4 comes in, backdoor flush draw is available, and 5-6 would make a straight, although unlikely holding that Peter would just be calling with. And now Pavel has a decision, does check back, ace-10, gonna improve, although didn't need to.
Pretty safe river for Pavel to get away. The nines are just blocking a lot of, well, I mean, it's just going to go check, check, but I think had Pieter bet the river, Pavel has a pretty easy fold with two nines. There's just enough ace-x of spade combos, some ace-x of diamonds. Of course, depending on size, he could still have a 10. But primarily, I think the fact that you're blocking all the 8-9, jack-9, maybe 9-6 suited, just
Yeah.
can't call with nines.
It's actually 2 players I get confused. Pieter and Pavel. Their names sound similar. Their countries are like kind of, they're like not like a super popular poker countries, but very tough players and seem to have great play live too and have great results. So yeah, they're tangoing. Something's got to give. There's a lot of firepower in this lineups today. And again,
Yeah.
Lucky Ming's sort of the unknown, the only one who hasn't won at GGMillion. You said you're not familiar with him. I'm not as familiar with him either, and he's
Look at
got
the
himself
size
in
by Cello.
decent.
Oh wait, it's a limp. I didn't catch the limp from Ramiro. He was so quick with that limp that I didn't realize. We've got a limp and a raise. Kind of that same class of hand here, pocket eights. Last time it was ace queen suited. They're pretty damn good hands, but not necessarily hands he's looking to play a huge pot with.
Yeah, and he's just pipped here in nines, eights, and also a pretty interesting flop. Both players going to be
Ooh.
okay with the flop and the turn, though. Ramiro now beating pretty much, yeah, everything but those flop flush combos. 118-1 to flop a flush, not easy to do. And he has got the lead now. Let's see if he will go in attack. Probably will. Wants to protect against the a club, and also he's got a set on the 10-8 4-5 board, so we'll bet out. And Rodrigo with the tough spot here. A lot of interesting spots. I mean, this is one where I don't know. So it's tough when you are in position, right? But you're calling and you don't know. Do you want a club? Do you not? Like, are you ahead? Are you not?
Just having a piece on both sides, this would be a pretty tough hand to fold. Agreed, he's going to find himself uncomfortable on nearly every river. But between the fact that the nines can be good, and if they're not good, there's a reasonable chance of hitting a club or a nine. It's tough to make that fold on the turn. But
yeah, and then you factor into position, right? You get to see your opponent can slow down. You might just get to check it down. You could get a lot of possibilities. So he will go for
checks.
the check, and now I mean 900 in the middle. This is actually probably this is like bad news almost in a way when you get checked. You kind of like it feels like there's showdown. It's like you're sort of in no man's land. But again, I don't really. Seems like I got a lot of hand to try to bet too. I guess.
Yeah, that was a peculiar check. I'm not exactly sure what he was going for there. It's tough to imagine Celuan has too many bluffs that need to fire that river. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, that was a Ramiro sort of catching himself in a lot of difficult spots, and he was sort of downwarding there. That was an important 8 for him. He's going to be back to 2.1 million as King Queen and Ace Jack. Pretty fair fight here. King Queen will jump in the lead. Ace Jack gets out flopped and is out of position. So King Queen. Pavel just saw King Queen get in a lot of trouble on the King High board. This is a different spot out of the big blind, and he is in the lead. He is going to check back though. Interesting.
I got one for you, Jeff. You mentioned flopping a flush. You said 118 to 1. Is that right?
I'm going with that. I'm sticking with that.
Okay.
Somebody,
I
yeah,
don't know what it is. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I say that. Yeah,
Sure.
that's what I believe it is.
So the other day, in that tournament at Hard Rock I was playing, um, I saw the exact same flop in the same order, 2 hands in a row. Never seen that in my life. It was Jack 8-4 all hearts, new
Okay.
dealer, new setup. Because I immediately looked at the dealer like, this is a problem. Like, we're not supposed to see this. And she just looked at me. She's like, no, it was someone else, remember? And it's a new setup. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah.
Wow.
Never in my
I don't
life.
know. That is,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, yeah, it's high. Well, I don't know if
I
we
think
figure.
we do. It's 52 times 51 times 50, which came to like 125,000 to 1, somewhere in there. So probably haven't seen it before in my life live.
I've seen set over set over set and hold them a few times. That's pretty rare too. That's
That's a sick one.
that's tough, but that's probably still, yeah. I'm not sure. Not sure of those ones, but it gets listen, math is fun. There was a friend playing in a cash game. They do like a bonus for the 4-card straight flush or
Mhm.
4 of a kind, but he got a 5-card royal flush in 5-card. So someone says 650,000 to 1. I feel like it would be more than that even, but maybe I don't
Wow,
know.
yeah. Look at this again. Adamo opening like he's got like a 3x chip lead on the next guy. This is cutoff hijack, low jack. Okay, I thought it was a little earlier, but low jack, ace 4-0 there. No ICM. Not for Mike.
I'll tell you what, Lucky Ming is really getting some nice situations where he's got premiums
Yeah.
and the player is sort of pipped here again. I mean, ace 10 off's not a ton of hand, but he's just kind of in good situation. Let's see if he is gonna shoot it on up. And this is just one of those ones that, yeah, you're out of position. Not too many good options. Even maybe 4-betting before flatting, you wouldn't want to flat, but does get out of the way. I think that's the most reasonable course of action, as Lucky is got a playable hand with a big. I'll tell you who Boyka has not got it going. He's had timing.
No.
He stepped into a few times. He's 3-bet. He's got
Yeah.
4-bet. He's done this. He zigged. It zagged, and it's just not worked. And let's see if Lucky Ming though, with the 3 million stack, is going to flat and come in. Could even 3-bet, but yeah, flatting seems to make sense. I mean,
Yeah, I think folding makes a lot of sense there. I think he's in a very nice spot here. But
you
he's
would fold
not.
if you're lucky, right?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
Boyka's stack is just not a lot of wide opens. Lucky's still got a lot of, players behind.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's that.
I would fold as well, maybe on the button, right, or some maybe a different situation here. He's just got 2
Button
extra
looks
players
playable.
behind. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's more reasonable, but it's a
Yeah,
pretty
take a
hand.
spot like this. Like for chips, this would just barely be a call on the flop if we're facing, say, 1/3. But I'm already really uncomfortable against that, that snug range that Boyka's opening. Makes the peel, which I think, that's congruent with the call pre-flop, but I think both seem kind of like mistakes or costly.
Yeah, as it stands, 8-4-2-6. You get called. You don't love it because like any pair has got you in trouble. There are all the suited broadways. There's no flush draw now, so he will check. Let's see if Lucky's got a plan to take down or make some moves here. I mean, realizing he's gonna have, I guess, if he's got the suited broadways, he could definitely have a bunch of pairs. And this sizing is gonna be problematic for Boyka because this is sort
I'm
of
out of
saying
there
you
if
got to
I'm
play
Boyka.
for. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
especially
is.
because, if you're Boyka, maybe you're projecting and you're saying, I don't really have queen jack suited here. So what am I beating? Mostly hands that I block, like a king queen suited or an ace jack suited.
Yep.
It's tough to, I like that fold by Boyka. And yeah, it works out for Lucky Ming. But I think the misconception there is, when you're playing for chips and Boyka has 5s and 6s, that queen jack suited is doing a lot better on the 8-4-2. You have 2 overs a lot. But when Boyka doesn't have many pocket pairs below the jack remaining on that flop, just kind of 9s and 10s, the float just isn't nearly as attractive when making top pair is not to your huge benefit.
Yeah, it's a great point. Great point, as we're going to get to see some blind on blind action here. Boyka seems to be in tune to Adamo's game plan and what's going on here. And let's just see with his stack with the ace 8, 10-8 off if, I mean, wow. This is That is a big boy shoving a snap call. Ace 8 has him in a world of hurt. Adamo could suffer a massive blow here. He's going to need help. 3 outs, 1 to come, or Boyka will finally get it going today. And it is going to be clean. No wild river there as Boyka's back to 2.3, and everything just got super even again. That was another all in and a double. Wow.
I'm going to be very curious to see, how Mike plays in some of the spots that he had previously now with this stack. It'll be interesting to see. Almost certainly he'll tighten up a little bit, but is he still going to be a little bit looser than most players would be with his stack? Or does the game plan entirely shift when chip lead is not really, in the immediate future outside of a double up?
Yeah.
I think, trying to grasp where Adamo is coming from on some of those decisions, I think maybe a lot of it is, hey, if I can get a little bit of a runaway chip lead, my EV just skyrockets, and so it's worth taking a little bit of risk now to become the table bully and have some really, really good future game. It's always interesting if you see something that maybe you wouldn't do that a phenomenal player is doing. Obviously, there's a lot of room to try and learn there. And you're not always going to guess correctly where they're coming from, but you certainly don't want to be dismissive and just say like, oh, chart says no go. Almost certainly someone like, Adamo knows the same information you do and even more. And so you want to try and understand what is that more? Where is he coming from? Even if it's potentially flawed.
Yeah, it is fun. It's fun to watch, fun to see. And the 10-8, were you surprised on that shove, or is that just his style in that spot? You think he was going to?
Yeah, I think he had a lot of options there, but given Celuan's stack, Pavel's stack, and Pieter, it seems pretty reasonable to put that kind of pressure. I don't think that's ridiculous at all. Interesting though, Boyka folding the Jack 9-0 in the cutoff, and you can see the disparity in him and Adamo's style. I don't think Michael with that stack would be folding the cutoff with Jack 9-0.
Yeah, this is Ramiro, who's definitely a kind of I don't want to say the word field player. Like I feel like he's definitely got range in his game and capable. This is, like you said, this is a very likely candidate to sort of to raise the ace 4, not to just fold. I think he did fold though. He the one who folded one time.
He folded versus under the gun, so similar but different. In that under the gun, it's a good candidate to represent, the aces, the kings, which might have made up the only portion of his value 3-bet. Here against Pieter, he certainly has a wider 3-bet for value. You can imagine something like ace queen suited and tens 3-betting and getting it in, so he can expand. But the ace 4 still a really nice candidate. Interesting battle of the blinds.
Yeah, and took down versus sixes. I mean, just sort of handcuffed, right? Like in that spot, you just don't really want to be playing a huge pot there. Flatting, uncomfortable, putting it all in seems a bit too reckless, and he does fold.
When we count them up, all of Pieter's, borderline decisions have been the passive option. Interesting to know that Pedro is drawing to running clubs here with Ramiro having the other 2 5s in the small blind. A little bit less drama than usual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Pieter had a really interesting spot there on the button where you could see all 3 emerge, call, shove, and fold. Interesting. We're seeing a lead here from Pedro. This is something that Brazilians like to do on some of these board pairs that not many other clicks do. You don't see a lot of leading here.
Yeah, this is nines. Nines are, no club, but 5's going to come into a lead, and 9's, man. What are you doing here with 9's? I think you just the size and the pot. You're in there.
Yeah, feels like a pretty easy peel, although you expect to be very uncomfortable.
Yep.
Interesting to see now if Pedro maybe turns this into a bluff. I don't think certainly wasn't a pure bluff on the turn. He didn't expect better hands to fold, really.
Yeah.
But now with this offsuit king, he probably doesn't see himself beating almost anything. And if he saw Pavel's hand, I would imagine he would want to go for it here. But But yeah, this is interesting and kind of fun to watch because it's just not a situation I find myself in. Not playing that lead on the 8-8-2. So he does check here.
Yeah. That is, I mean, it's anything stand out so far? Is there anything that you're surprised with? Like anyone that's sort of gone out of the norm so far?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd seen it before from some of his compatriots, but Pedro's lead there on the flop is, unorthodox for most players. That was interesting. Ramiro's play, so much of it has been interesting and surprising between, that great king queen fold on the river was really interesting. The 3-bet with 5-4 suited. Pieter kind of leaning into 3 of the tighter options. That's been interesting. Just trying to draw up an idea of how somebody is approaching this final table. If you see, more than one hand that kind of connects in the same column as far as tight or loose, certainly Adamo's opens. They've all kind of been in the same neighborhood of, if it's borderline or maybe even if it's just in the fold category, he's going to open it. Where you see someone like Boyka here folding, what is that, cut off at low jack -1 with 6s, with a stack that Mike was opening a lot of hands. And yeah, I think Lucky Ming, the wild card going in, he's played well. I haven't really seen much that was too standout. He's gotten a lot of ace kings, but he's 4-bet them properly, where maybe someone who is a little bit more scared money might have just made some big shoves. Definitely showed he's not afraid. Selawan has not had much in the way of interesting decisions, but that ace queen, he made a great fold. There were a couple of these ace queen folds where I might have been walking back to Texas.
Yeah, and Ramiro has been relentless. He really has played a lot of hands, and this is sort of one of the bottom of the range of he's open. He has had playable hands. This is king four suited. It's just one of those boards too where now he's got some backdoor draws and the over. I think he'll be attacking 8-9 suited. Gonna want to wow, it goes big and this is
Big,
tough.
big.
Big. Yeah. Well,
A lot of
I'm gonna
people
get
don't
this
play a big bet on that texture, so it'd be interesting to know, if he plays a relatively balanced there, if that hand just looked super appealing to him.
Well, he's got a real hand for once. He's had a lot of ace jack, ace queen, sort of playable, tough spots here. At king's going to be in fantastic position, but nines maybe I'd be able to get away too unscathed. Let's see. And Lucky Ming doesn't think long with the ace 10, gets out of the way there.
Yeah. Pieter's had a tough couple of spots like this where, yeah, in theory, they're relatively straightforward folds for the most part, but when you keep getting
Oh
pushed,
man,
oh, not the time to
no, not this.
disconnect.
We're not really going to see this. This has happened before with I think aces. It might have
Really?
been Nick Mamoni, who's been a guest on the show as well. He had it, and then I think it worked out for him too. He ended up like being okay. Not that he would have lost the hand, but like
Yeah,
he ended up
yeah.
coming back and making a thing. But
Oh my
this is
God.
tough. No man, not you just don't want to be on the highlight reel for this. Oh
Jeez.
no, oh no. Pieter, man, what did this guy must do
Uh,
all the meditation, all the mind stuff. I mean, to get the Kings just to get out of the way here, this is wild, man. Hits his cold plunge, drinks tea, not coffee, the whole deal. He's just got
man.
like Ramiro is going to be. Let's see if he can recover from that mentally. Also, maybe we get to see a flop if Adamo peels. I don't know the 6-7
Yeah.
off in this
Wow.
spot if he's going to, but maybe it's could have come to
Good.
nine high
You
or
don't want to play kings against me.
no, yeah. We just may
It's,
not get to see it. We just may not see it.
man.
Is Adamo gonna appeal?
I think so.
Okay, so we're going to. I think you're right. But 7-6, the stack's a little bit. All right. Oh, look at this, Ramiro the genius, Ramiro the absolute sensei. I mean, this is a crazy thing to get to see it, and he gets to avoid it. I mean, obviously, there's still 2 cards to come potentially that we may not get to see. I guess 6-7's got the gut shot. This feels like it's in the wheelhouse of interest for Adamo, right? He's got the
Yeah,
gut
you
shot. He's got
see,
a yeah.
your reaction was about Ramiro. My reaction, I was like, oh, Mike's gonna bust here. Like, I think that this is like a mix between call and check raise, but if he
check
does
raise.
call, Peter might be checking the turn, and Mike's gonna put a bunch of chips in on the river if he doesn't make a 7 or a 6.
This does feel
This
like
is
the candidate, right? He's got the heart, the heart, and
pretty
the
good
diamond
looking.
backdoor
Yeah.
could get weird with the whatever heart. He's going to play strong. He's got the 8. He thinks a 6 or 7 could be good. And Pieter cannot believe what's happening. It's actually crazy. This is a real butterfly effect moment because the Kings might, I mean, what? Kings with a 3-bet and the heart. Wow. Is this Adamo? I mean, if you're Pieter, you're just closing your eyes. I mean, that's a concerning card. That's definitely right up there in the top concerns. But again,
well, something we talked about earlier, I think, this is the thing about, a player of Adamo's caliber and aggression is Peter could find himself in a lot of really tricky spots on a brick river. But I think against Mike, you just got to call it off. You got to say twofold. One, he has enough bluffs like this, these one heart bluffs. Maybe he takes a 10-8-0. Oh, take it all back.
And not to mention the crazy thing about this is the Kings and the 9s. Although what would have happened would Ramiro would have 3-bet?
I think it's just 2 folds. I think Ramiro has to 3-bet. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine he doesn't 3-bet them and we just see the folds. But yeah,
right. So
all of this
actually,
to the benefit of Adamo.
In actuality, Ramiro would have, he would have just won the pot. But this is a lot. I mean, and if you're Adamo, this is part of your plan. But now I guess you're thinking what
do you think? Do you block or check? He's got a real good spot.
Other than the nut flush, like what is it? What flushes does he have here that he just like? I guess he could have Jack 10 of hearts or something, but like even then, how it's played, it just seems like I think Adamo's gonna think he's got the best hand, but he does go for the little. This is
very small.
This is a wild hand. I mean, this is up there for one of the wilder hands. We had a timeout with Kings. Both would have made a set. 7-6 has the winner now, and he gets paid by the set that trapped it down on even the river small bet. This is just a lot to process in one hand today, guys. That is your hand of the day.
I was sympathizing with Pieter's spot just when we saw him lined up against Kings and was going to have to fold, but man, they really made things as bad as possible for him there. That's pretty brutal.
That was crazy. And then the bet size, just a little. And there he is. The Damo's back to 2.6 million. Just, that goes so many other ways. The river is just like an innocuous card, and he may shell it off. And I think you're right. Pieter probably closes his eyes and calls if it's not a heart. I mean, he just kind of has to.
Yeah, I think, Adamo's
versus Adamo.
Yeah, he's gonna, even have value potentially that's worse on some of those brick rivers. There could be the 9-5 suited, the 2s and 5s.
Yeah. You hate to see it, you love to see it. Depends where you're rooting and how you like the game. But that was a bit of a painful one.
How you like the game?
Yeah, it's just we got a mixed bag, in there. And there's again Adamo, I think, is polarizing. I think most people like his game. It's fun, right? It's not.
I think what goes along with it is that everyone likes the guy. Like, he's just such a nice dude and a pleasure to be around, that it's like some of the people who might be on the fence if it was a different, more polarizing character, you just have to love Mike. So he's too easy to root for.
Yeah, and I'm saying his style is fun, right? Like, it's like the versus someone who's like ICM laddering, like to have that, like he's definitely got a profile. He's got a fan base. That's for sure.
Definitely.
If he's watching, do you think he watches? Do you think he tunes in to see the whole cards? Maybe puts it on. You think he listens and tunes in, or has he got like?
I would guess he puts it on mute, but I don't know. I think he's more interested in the game than anything. He wants to know the whole cards. I'd be surprised if any of these players didn't tune back in after. But I think some of the guys who spend so much time studying, they're probably clicking the mute button and maybe catching a comment or two from a buddy who happened to watch. But and then the guys who maybe don't make these tables as much are probably interested in the commentary and what's being said about them. But when you've made as many final tables as Adamo,
it's just... I think Adamo's in a quiet room with nothing else going on, full blast volume. I think he's taking it all in, and he's invited to come on the show. We'd love to have the 6-time winner, and he has not been on yet. Love to be a guest and have. But he's one of those guys we got to schedule a backup, because this happened with David Yan. This has happened with a few other guys where we just know that they frequent them often, and sometimes we have to have a backup. So yeah, hopefully he's watching and love to have him on.
He would be
Actually, one of the
great.
guys, yeah, one of the people I haven't gotten to know, I haven't spent much time with or talked to, but definitely someone who, demands respect at the table, and he has got himself now a bit different. The real heart draw doesn't come through. King 10, the taxi, has no heart and a pretty good bluff catchy candidate if he is going to go. And let's see if Adamo just decides that this is not the one to bluff, but let's see what he does here. A million in the middle.
Yeah, it's tough. You don't like blocking the ace 10 of hearts, ace jack of hearts, but at the same time, you have to have some bluffs. It's really tricky.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually an interesting hand to note. I think is a good to put in the bucket of like, hey, it's not a mandatory bluff. Like some of the best players, like, yeah, he knows he's not winning that hand, but he just decides because of his image, because of this, because of his holdings in the board and the run out, that like sometimes you just do have to wave the white flag. I mean, that's also, I think, important to sort of to realize that
Yeah.
it's not a mandatory bluffing all the time when you miss. I mean, you should probably consider it, right? But like, you just don't have to. And that is even Adamo you just saw give up there basically and relinquish that pot.
That's where I think final tables are actually less interesting than non-final tables is when you get to the river, just because the ranges were so constricted pre-flop. There's less to think about on the river because just a smaller group of hands on every street, particularly going to the flop. So, instead of maybe thinking about 120 combos on the river, you might only be thinking about 40 or 50. It tends to make it, but it doesn't mean that the decisions are necessarily easier because when you make a mistake, the magnitude of that mistake, is so much larger than when you're playing, level 3 of a tournament.
Well, the universe felt bad for Ramiro with his kings mucked. He got him again. This time he's going to play him. This time he's just going to win, like probably would have happened last time. And that was very interesting. The whole thing was interesting, and he is at 2.4 million. He is very much alive, and again, the stacks are so tight. They're just so tight. We're still what? I mean, 8-handed.
We lost a 6 big blind stack and nothing else. It's been everybody battling, chips moving everywhere.
Yeah, this has been definitely a very unique day, but the blinds are going up. We will see someone emerge today. Someone will separate themselves, although it's been very, very, very back and forth and not too much craziness here as Ramiro will open the ace 10 on the button. Not going to get any customers. Let us know where you're watching from. Appreciate it. We got over 1,000 watching. We do have a giveaway on my Twitter, Jeff Gross Poker. You guys can go there. It's pinned tweet. You can retweet. Be available for $50. Jonathan, are you active on social much? Do you do Instagram, Twitter, anything, or you just sort of you just crush poker, enjoy fatherhood, and just take it easy? You're away from the social media mostly.
Live in IRL.
That's the way. That's honestly that's the new. That is I respect that. Well, if you do have Twitter out there, if you use it, anyone, you can retweet and be eligible for that giveaway. And we will also have a $50 or $100 giveaway based on which players win. Jonathan's players for 50, mine for 100. So you got those two things going. And what else is that? Yeah, tweet and that. So you got a couple giveaways live as Jackson ace 10, Tango, and Pieter just getting not really going his way right now as he gets out flopped here. Is going to bet. Eight pairs.
Interesting whether or not to play leads here as Pavel. Certainly a card that favors him. You can imagine the indifference he could create in Pieter's jacks if he had, a 6-7 or a heart draw. And at the same time, trying to power and get more value should Pieter have an ace and he happen to have an 8. This hand here seems to be balancing what his, bluffs and his 8 would do.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Wow. But it's a heart. I think Pavel may find himself getting away from this unscathed. His only bluffs that remain are pretty much some 6-7s. Debatable whether he calls 6-7-0. I don't think he does. So I can see how we can check fold this.
Yeah. I mean, what a absolute lightning in a bottle card though for Peter, who was really in dire straits with the stack, and this pot was going to be hard to go his direction as he's going to rip it. And Pavel probably doesn't have to stew too long over this, but still feels weird.
Yeah, always interesting if you're Pieter to think about, would you bluff the queens, the kings, the tens, the nines? Where are your bluffs coming from? If you would, do you need a heart in your hand, or would you take black tens? Would you take black queens? Tricky spot. I think a lot of people, watching at home might find themselves actually having no bluffs and Pieter's spot there.
Great point. Boyka, who's been, I would say he's following that logic of open tight, 3-bet light, or open light, 3-bet tight. And he's definitely been 3-betting and getting active. He's had some poor timing, although he has chipped back in. He did win that ace-8 off versus 10-8 off when Adamo slammed it in pre-flop. So he's back into healthy position, and everyone's sort of getting short-ish though, right? The 2 million's now 2.4 is 20 blinds, so you can see the stack sizes. There's a lot of, or I'm sorry, 2.4 is more than that. It's 40 blinds. So 1.2 is 20 blinds. There's 1.3, 1.2, 1.3. So sort of 20 blind stacks. Then you got, there's still playability. There's a bunch of people who are healthy right now. I'd say it's an interesting one. This is unique. We have officially this is the most unique. I don't think we've gone 8-handed for over an hour and 15 minutes. Don't believe that's happened before. Sometimes though we lose 4 or 5 quickly and it takes a long time. This may be the reverse, as we haven't lost anyone and things can happen fast. But
yeah. We just got that spot we were talking about earlier, 20 bigs, queen jack suited on the button versus an early position open, in this case the low jack. And yeah, Pavel essentially sends it in, puts half a stack out there with maybe enough action coming in behind him. He was going to find a fold.
There's ace-4 suited. Ooh, 2 pretty looking hands that aren't made hands yet, but both have so much potential. And this is one, Peter, people do get aggressive with the king jack suited, but also closing the action feels nice. It feels like you could do either very reasonably pretty hand when he's just going to pile it. That's like a solver move, right? Like the king jack, like just like you can just stuff it for a fair amount of blinds and people can't really do much. But is that
getting that
there?
ace jack? Yeah, I think that's a really close spot. You're going to see people go both ways there. But I think, Pedro is early enough that he's going to fold ace jack O pretty much without a problem to that shove. And that really benefits the king jack suited. And of course, just getting hands like, mid pocket pairs and the ace-4 suited to fold is extremely helpful, while, still maintaining a flip against tens or nines should they call.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Both players with 40% over Royal, both with ace-10, both suited, and both like their spots, but out of position here. Lucky Ming deciding, is he he's gonna raise it, and Ramiro, and it's a pretty looking hand here. Imagine it's just flatting, right? But I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of hand too. Yeah. So he's gonna flat and get a big advantage with the nut flush draw and be in position. Lucky Ming gonna have a hard time here to win this hand. Probably gonna have to just be getting removed.
Sneaky check back there. Seems pretty reasonable among all of your, flush draws to be checking this one back, where you don't really get many folds from better hands. May still feel as if he has the best hand some portion of the time.
Well, that changes things to a likely just chop. Don't really see any world where we don't see a showdown here.
Yeah. I think these are interesting spots where a lot of people in Lucky Ming's spot, they just don't have much in the way of bluffs because it would require a hand that you would raise from the small blind and then decide to check this flop and this turn only to turn into a bluff now. So, it would have to be something like a Jack 10 or a King Jack, maybe a 10-8 suited that was playing in a not so straightforward manner.
Yeah, and ultimately Ramiro here just going to make the call. I don't really see any other version of anything. Like, is there a world where he would raise? I don't think so.
No, I'm kind of surprised what the time is about. Wow.
Well, listen, it's a different time. They say AI and things are happening fast, and I didn't see that one coming. And that is actually going to
Damn.
Lucky Ming is, as played. I don't know. That doesn't seem like At the same token, like it's just so unconventional here, Jonathan. I just don't know. It doesn't seem like you don't love it. You don't love Ace 10 now.
Yeah, I would assume that was a value raise. I'm like not entirely sure. Um, just because, certainly Lucky Ming can have a lower ace, and it's also possibly could fold an ace jack or ace king at this point. Like, I really don't know what to make of this. I think it's a light value raise, the kind of thing that I think might be reasonable when you know your opponent quite well and you're playing for chips. Works
Wow.
out incredibly well for him here. But
Ramiro.
I would be
Ramiro getting De
curious.
Niro. That is Ramiro, man. Just to give you a little background on this player. So he is 2 final tables season 1, 5 final tables season 2 at 2 titles, and a final table now in season 3. He's got in total about 9 million in GG millions. And really, really powerful results from these players across the
Mhm.
board. Even Lucky Ming, his resume here on GG, he's got over 2.8 million in total earnings, and most of these players are around 10 million, 11 million, 7 million, 10 million, 7 million. So very experienced batch today. As we mentioned, everyone
Gotcha.
has a GG million title other than Lucky Ming, who does have some good results. And where's that country flag? Let's see. We got it in the notes here. That is Cambodia.
Cambodia? Yeah,
Okay. I think they just had a big series over there as well. Some
gotcha.
Cambodia. I mean, poker's booming. I went to APT in Korea last September. It was pretty amazing to see. I went to the GG office as well, and I was very very impressed at what's going on in the world in poker and over in Asia too. There's new series popping up, and it's pretty good sign for poker, I'd say.
Limp on the button with 8-4 suited. Ramiro's mixing it up. I think it's going to get shoved on, but that's just not something you see every day at a high stakes final table. Maybe he's trying to take advantage of maybe these guys. Well, I didn't get shoved on. These guys have probably. How long is the delay? When do they get to see
Maybe
some
30,
hole
30
cards?
minute.
30 minutes. So certainly they've seen the ace queen suited and the pocket eights. So playing off of that and kind of limping a trash hand, maybe he gets more credit. And on this flop, I think it's going to do quite well. It's definitely creative. It kind of reminds me Negreanu when he won the Super High Roller Bowl the year before last. He was doing some really different things, 3 and 4 handed. There was just a lot of limping in spots where you're just not used to seeing high stakes players play a limp. Um, Makes for interesting poker.
Yeah. Yeah, Negroni really's come out swinging this year. He did have a show that I think he had a losing year. He really is transparent about his results and what's going on. He came out with some titles and seems really at the top of his game right now. And yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely, there's a lot of. It's cool that there's so many high stakes tournaments too. You got the Poker Go stuff. You got the WPT stuff. South Florida puts on great events too. I mean, that's just in the U.S. Then there's other parts of the world that do it. And then Triton coming up. Are you hitting all the Triton stops this year, or is that your
That's the
plan?
plan. I don't think I'm going to play much poker outside of it, but I'm going to play all the Tritons, and I'll probably play like 5 or 10 tournaments at World Series. Yeah. What have you got in store?
Yeah, I'm gonna plan to go to the Tritons, and then I mean I just had that second baby. It's like almost 10 months, so that sort of throws a loop in everything in terms of traveling,
Sure.
and even like the Triton stuff. It's like a 3 week stop. I love doing commentary interviews going there. It's just like that's an aggressive trip. I took the
Hmm.
family to Korea when I went to the APT, and then went to Tokyo. It was fun, but like that's a lot. Like this is just I'm not positive. I went to the Bahamas, played the what's
Look
it
at that
the
call.
GG Million. This is a quite a spot here as well. It's an exciting hand, but yeah, I'm just sort of up in the air. Like I like to play
Awesome.
and I like to commentate, but I don't have like a firm schedule for what I'll do. But You know, again,
Very
having
cool.
Florida in the backyard is nice, right? It's nice to have the Hard
Yeah.
Rock to have option for 3-4 times a year for a good series.
Yep.
This is an
Very nice.
interesting spot. Who wants this? No one has a club. Both have the key jack and 10 in there, but no one took a stab on the
Mike's
10.
pot.
Yeah, it's
He makes a loose
dude,
call, and it's not to check this down. I mean, he sees the queen on the turn, and he's bottom of his range. Once that queen or a jack rolls off, he's got straights, he's got top pair. Most of the worst hands he has at this point would just be a 9. I don't think this ace 10-0 is even on most of our radars as a call on the flop, but can't imagine this doesn't work here against Ramiro. Just looks like a king jack or something.
yeah, no player with the club. I mean, Ramiro does have a jack, but that doesn't do too much.
Pretty easy fold for Ramiro. I wouldn't dream that I beat anything at that point.
Yeah, nice play from Adamo. Just hit a little button, save that a hotkey. Nice bet, Adamo. He does it again, and he hasn't separated, but he's still 2.2 million, and he did have that setback with the 10-8 shoving into ace-8, so that was a big pot, and he's still healthy.
Pedro given some thought to this queen 10 suited. If this thinking is genuine, it's interesting. He does fold, but you saw Lucky Ming with the chip lead at one point folding queen 10 suited under the gun.
Just want to point out the stack size is currently 1.4 million to 2.6 million. Every player. That is so bizarre with 8 left. Like it is, it's just bizarre.
Wow. Here he is. Every time you ask for him, Mike delivers.
He just, maybe I'm
Hell of
telling
a
you,
spot for Peter.
He's listening. We're building him up today too. Like he's gonna flatten. Oh Lord,
man.
Sets, man. Sets are out. This is actually deja vu, right? In a way, it was set versus it was actually top set on a super dry board. This is now bottom set with the queen jack.
Yeah, you can't imagine Peter's not thinking a little bit of course, this guy just has queens or jacks now. Last time I flop a set on him, it doesn't go very well. Mine's a good check there.
Yeah, Adamo, I mean, the king 5 suited, this is a pretty abysmal flop for him, and maybe just decides that, you know what, that wasn't the one to start going nuts on.
Yeah, pump the brakes at exactly the right time.
Similar, he gave up on the jack 10 of hearts. Like this is important. It's just something, if you just always the guy that barrels off, like that's not going to work either. So he does have to have some give ups and slowdowns, and he's shown us a few of those. What's your favorite game? No limit hold'em. You do some PLO, any mixed games, or you're strictly hold'em right now?
Pretty much a hold'em guy. My favorite game is heads up. How about yourself?
I enjoy PLO. I like 4-card, 5-card PLO, but I mean tournament wise, I do love. I mean, No Limit I think is the best game, but I enjoy playing PLO cash. I'd say is my favorite game.
Nice.
It's nice to see PLO get some annies and tournaments, and it's definitely I'd say getting popular, a bit more popular. But and Triton throws a few. Played the one in Madrid. I like the 5-card. I think 5-card's a cool game too. The 6-card's actually gotten popular in some circles that I know, and that's a little. I think that's like at some point you got to draw the line. It's just like 6 cards is a lot. That's a lot.
Leave some cards in the deck.
Gotta have a couple. Short deck PLO. There's been like no limit short deck PLO I'm hearing, and that sounds short deck PLO. I don't even know what that means. Like I've
I don't know anything about that.
That sounds like I've never played it. Sounds chaotic.
Yeah, it seems like Triton's kind of maybe doing away with the short deck and replacing it with PLO.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was I knew they were sort of segueing. There was trying some PLO, but I didn't know they were actually going to
not seeing the short deck in Jeju, and you'd think that would be a stop where, demographic, that's where you see short deck get played is in Asia. And if they're replacing with PLO there, I think it's maybe not moving forward.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll be honest, short deck, I find I think it's a cool game. I do, when I've watched it, like if you really play correctly down the stretch, it is slow, right? Like it's just kind of like it just doesn't. I feel like the final tables don't have the oomph to it. That's how I
Gotcha.
feel. I don't like that's how I've sort of looked at it. But it is a very skillful game, and it is, it's cool. I just think like too ICM wise, pressure towards the money and stuff is just kind of like a crazy bit like. Yeah, you'd know better than me probably. I don't follow too much
No,
advancement.
no, I barely know the rules. Yeah,
Okay.
no
So
short deck
yeah,
experience. Never played a hand in my life.
yeah. There was a moment where it looked like I know all the sites were putting online the cash games. Like it kind of got very popular. It was like talking about maybe that'd be the next game, but it didn't really ever just go nuts. It sort of slowed down. There was a while people were saying PLO would replace Hold'em. I will say in the South Florida at the Hard Rock, there it is a lot more PLO cash games,
Yeah.
5 card as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ace 7, King 9. 9 will turn a pair. Ace 7 starting to bet here, and Ramiro. Blind on blind, wide ranges. King 9 definitely is worth a consideration here, and the size is going to get called for half pot as 700s in the
Got a
middle.
pretty nice
Ace 7s.
bluff catcher on the river if you're Ramiro. It's very enticing. Wow, doesn't face a bet. Pretty nice to just check back, but he's surprised us before.
Snap check though, and yeah, Ramiro gonna get shown the bad news, but not a crazy pot again. No one wants to go home or take a separation risk here. We are 8-handed. Thank you for being here with us. We are officially an hour and a half in, lost one player, and it is between 1.36 and 2.9 basically million. So very tight. We will play to a winner today. We will do that no matter what, Jonathan. So I hope, I don't know.
Excellent.
I don't know if you have plans later, but this one could go the distance. This could be some records. This is possible.
Nice.
And someone's in the chat, there is 4 short deck events in JG. They're saying I believe there was, but I actually have not seen. And if I have not seen the schedule in the last 2 weeks. So you could be, if your short's off, you guys can look up Jaffe's
No.
record.
I'm just talking out my ass. I thought that it got replaced by PLO, but that's not because of changes.
It might be more of a mix. You know what I mean? Maybe they're doing
It must be.
They're mixing like short deck and PLO. Maybe it's like half no limit, a quarter. That would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
But yeah, either way, no limit, the Cadillac. That's what people are. Those are the big ones. That is what I think is the best game in tournament poker, and I think that's the reason we continue to see the biggest prizes, of course, in the biggest stages. I mean, there's been some pretty impressive main events around the world that are hitting records everywhere. And hopefully we'll see that. Do you think 2024 can keep that pace? Think we'll see 10,000 in the main event? Think it's just going to keep growing, or do you think we hit?
I think so. Not seeing a reason why it would go down. I think, there's just more and more excitement growing. You're finding more people taking the game more and more seriously. And at the same time, it's not like young people are, not interested in poker. I think it still keeps bringing more people in from all demographics.
Both players not going to expect to win this hand. 8-9,
Yeah.
really not. Queen 10, sort of also, especially when check to, right?
Yeah.
You're sort of, it's weird. The diamonds come home. Don't have a diamond. Have one spade. Does he want to bluff? Actually, he does have the best hand.
Yeah, it's got a lot to consider here.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah, he one is wondering, do I ever win with a check? And 2, how good or bad is my candidate for bluffing? It's probably not a great candidate having a spade. You kind of are probably mostly hoping to bluff Ramiro off of like ace X of spades or queen X of spades. But he does go for it, and same result with a check.
Yeah, here we got couple of middling hands, 6s and ace jack, both reasonable hands, also tough to play, but we see an open, and ace jack definitely one of those that in this spot you're going to be interested in. See if he's going to potentially 3-bet or just
those 6s are really close to begin with. Goes for the flat. It's tough playing flat off 30 big blinds against hijack. I'm not sure ace jack's strong enough for most people to play as a flat there, but
would you go for a small 3-bet or just a fold?
Both of those. I think I would do anything except for flat, but I think it's a pretty damn good candidate to 3-bet.
Well, he does pair the ace. I mean, this is ace, queen, four, two clubs. Pretty nice flop. And again, one of the problems is hand is just tough, right? To get value.
Yeah,
And then also, you know, when you're just going to be against ace, queen, or ace, king, or a set of queens or whatever, and just be toast. So yeah, there's that. That's one of the reasons why
exactly.
flat in is.
Take like a ace 7-5 rainbow flop. That's a great flop for you if you're Miro, but like how many hands do you get even two streets of value against? And yet how many awful situations do you get put in by ace king, ace queen, maybe a set of sevens? You know, it's very tough to script really good situations with that ace jack on the button. All the while he's going to find himself probably folding should Celowan shove his 14 or 15 big, or actually, sorry, he had more like 18 bigs. It's what we talked about when you're Adamo and you do happen to have it. You're going to get paid in some fashion or another.
Yeah,
About to get a nice spot 4-bet.
Yeah, Pavel's also been pretty short. He's been around a million. Like he got up to 1.6 or 8, or he's just never really gotten it going. Boyka's got a good seat on the left of Adamo, but he's also still sort of not really emerged. This has been this is so wild to me. These stack sizes and the how long we've been playing, and that there's no one's really gotten above 3 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Wonder if Adamo's, you know, giving genuine consideration here. Yeah, he does. He 4-bets rather than shoving. I think playing off of that really aggressive reputation, saying, look, I'm going to balance it with my value. Everyone knows I play bluffs here. I'm not only going to 4-bet aces, kings, ace, king suited. I'll take the ace, king O also.
Yeah, and this is again, we saw Peter, who with the king jack of diamonds ripped it in. Let's see if he decides against this player, against this spot, that he might just have a spot to go for. Although ICM wise, this would be erratic, right? I mean, this would be just like a complete disregard for that. So he does.
Sure.
Close.
But it's all when you see the cards, you know, like if we look at his pocket eights, looks pretty good to slam them in against Mike's small blind 3-bet with king 5 suited. But I don't think that would have been any wilder with the king jack suited. Maybe pretty similar. But point being, when you're playing against someone that aggressive, it's really tricky. And you're always worried that you're just going to punt it. But if you always back down, then he's kind of having his way with you.
Yep, that's why it's fun, right? That's why the game is fun. There's more than one way to play, and there is we're getting to see the class of the players, and no one's going home right now. No one has apparently big plans tonight because people are playing close to the vest. They're making a few 3-bets, couple maneuvers, but no one's really been on the line, and we're going for history. Jonathan, I just have a feeling this could be the one. This could be like the 6-hour show. This could be. What do we got here? Snack here. Yeah, I'm excited about poker. I will say that. I just feel like it's in such a cool place. That's the good news. I think we have a great year. I think 2024 is going to be a record year. Also, did you watch Game of Gold?
I did not. No. How was it?
It was good. It was really good. I thought, it's just sort of the fact that it was so close to what a reality show would be. But I mean, there's a lot of poker. I think there's a lot of feedback. They could make some changes, but overall, I thought they did a great job.
What's some of the non-poker that they do? What do they get involved in?
I mean, it was just like very like the format of the teams. It was mostly poker, like sit and goes. That was sort of how it would work, where you'd be with a team and then you would get points. But then at the end, they did like some Indian poker, where you hold up a card, like some little kind of fun variations of it.
Okay.
But it was a lot of poker. I actually think that would be my feedback. Would be that it would be fun to see like a couple mixes of strategy games, but not just poker, right? To kind of switch it up. But yeah,
that'd be cool.
If anyone watched in the chat, you guys let us know what you think. 1,300 watching right now, and
so I was gonna say this hand's pretty interesting, where you're Celowan with an incredibly difficult decision generally, But then you see Ramiro open ace-2 offsuit. If you have that kind of intel, oh my God, nines look like a slam dunk shove. It's do
Yeah.
you shove or three-bet call? But not knowing that in the moment, of course, the open from ace-2 off, just even from everything I've seen so far from Ramiro, would not have been on my radar as a possibility. Um, it's just interesting how fluid some people's games are, where they can just change gears from relatively tight to super loose.
Yeah, it's I will say this has been this has definitely been unique, and this is Ramiro's been the most active. I think that's pretty much that the him and Adamo, right? In terms of
Mm-hmm.
playing, and I would say we haven't seen a lot from Rodrigo, and he's been maybe the quietest.
Yeah, and even with Ramiro being so active, there's still a couple spots like he just flats the ace jack O rather than three bet. He folds the ace 4-0 in the big blind. So it's not easy enough to maybe put him in one camp where he's just pure aggression. Um, it's been tricky. I think particularly Ramiro has been very difficult to range. Those limps have thrown us off. Lucky Ming has been pretty steady. I think he's been the most consistently tight.
Yeah, that's true, and he's got himself the chip lead at the moment, but again, not much separating the players here. Curious, who do you pick right now? Who do you who's gonna break free?
If I had to pick someone to win, it would probably be very close between Pedro and Adamo, just because they have good stacks, but Adamo is a little bit lower, but he's just playing so aggressively. So, I mean, he's my pick to get seventh and my pick to win. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but yeah, Lucky Ming has just been cautious enough where he's my pick for third. I think he's gonna stay in there and do quite well, but he might be skipping out on some of the aggression that kind of propels you to the win. Very small three bet here from Boyka.
Yeah, that's something. Can you talk about this? This is something I've been asking the past guests recently. It just seems like was there a noticeable point in time where this shifted, where the three bet sizing really sort of dumbed down? The sizing seems to be not
Yeah.
so big.
Yeah, so for chips, 3x is a pretty good starting point when you're not at a final table, and then you kind of move that up and down a little bit based on the depth, but you don't typically go much below three times the open. But at final tables, it can be very different, and you'll have a lot of these spots that kind of call for a 2.5x or smaller three bet. Look at that. He gets Pedro to fold tens for a very small size. If I saw that right, that was like a 2.2. Something that's just kind of unheard of in when you're talking about folding for chips without an ICM effect. Um, and of course, anytime you can lower your risk, and that's what you're doing when you're three betting a smaller size, that's got benefits at a final table. But at the same time, you'll also see, I'm sure, commentating these, you've seen some massive three bets from time to time where if a chip leader or a second in chips three bets against one of the other guys who's top three in chips, especially out of position, they might go 6x. You'll have these situations where you're so conflict averse and you're hyperpolar, just kind of aces, kings, ace low, king low, and you might go to 12 big blinds over two bigs.
Yeah, really interesting. And here we got sort of the high low unsuited, the gap with the 9-10 suited, and the big raise going to come out for a over 3x here. And 9-10 suited, this is sort of a weird one, right? You're just like such a nice playable hand. You're closing the action, you're in position, but the
Yeah,
sizing is big.
might be a good spot to shove here when you think about it. Pedro's not going to dominate the 10 or the 9 very often with that 3x. It could be the ace 10, but typically Pedro's value is going to look like a lot of ace queen, ace king, ace jack. and could be nines or tens, which I guess you could say we block. But yeah, susses it out there and gets a really nice takedown.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Also knowing there's so much air, right? You're just gonna get folds, and then, like you said, against the value, if you do get cooler in a way, you're still pretty live. You just don't want to see the jacks plus or something. But that's not a lot of combinations.
Yeah.
That's pretty unlikely. And a little Brazil and Brazil crime there. Playing for a lot of reais today. It's over a million reais. Have you been to Brazil? You played poker down there
I've
ever?
not. No. Not have you?
Yeah, yeah, I've gone. My wife's Brazilian.
Nice.
I've been to Brazil a lot, but I think for poker probably 5 times. They have a big GG like KSOP event going down there right now. Was looking to get there. I had a commitment this week, but it was that looks like a really nice turnout. I know Fleet Mojave, spearheading that and involved
Hmm.
with that. So it looks like they got some good. I think the largest ever buy-in for a Brazil tournament. They had like 100K. I mean,
Nice.
it was a Real. So yeah, maybe like around 20,000 US buy-in tournaments, some other ones, and main events. And yeah, Brazil poker is definitely very popular. I think for a stretch, we saw like 25, 30 weeks in a row of the
Yeah.
same Brazil at a final table here.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Look at this 3-bet from Mike. I would love to see. Wow. Lucky Ming backs down pretty quickly. He might not know just how good his candidate is there, a suited ace, when realistically, Adamo's not going to be 3-betting something like tens for value. Even jacks you would expect are going to play a call there, even with Mike's reputation. So that suited ace, if it does happen to run into the rare kings, possibly queens, does okay. And when the guy's 3-betting King 4-0, you can imagine there's infinite candidates. In that realm, you can come up with, well, I'll make it finite, but maybe there's like 120, King low and ace low offsuit before getting into anything else.
wow, here we go. We need a little bit of action. Fours to ace queen suited. We're getting our money's worth with this. It is a live river sweat here. Needs an ace, a queen, a heart. Fours in the lead, and it is it looks clean for fours, is it? That is not a heart. That is a 9, and that is GG to the Brazilian. My man, that is a tough one to lose with that flop, but that is going to be our 8th place finisher. Brazil's down to 1. Got Edgemar in the chat. What's up, Edgemar? And from Brazil, that's a tough one, man. Just see that. That was a big flip. That was a lot of implications. 3.8 million is a big lead here, Jonathan. Now
Yeah.
that was a big moment for Boyko. Who's been fairly quiet. Did hit the ace 8 versus 10-8 to win and to stay alive. He was on the line there. He did have a dominating situation, but now he's your chip leader and has a really good seat.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Adamo tightens up at all, with Boyka now having a stack that gives him a little bit more room to pick on light opens.
Oh, here we go. We got a couple hands now, kind of colliding some action. We got an over nut flush draw versus top pair jack kicker, and both with similar stack sizes. Let's see how this plays out. But yeah, Boyka gonna capitalize, be your front runner right now.
Yeah, pretty close spot for Pieter here. Goes for the call.
Well, that's good news. One Brazilian is out, another's got the nuts on the turn with no way to lose with the particular holding of Pieter. And he is going to be chipping up here almost, unless somehow the board pairs and he gets off it, but I don't see that happening. And he has got himself a winner at the moment. Let's see what he does here. Sometimes it's harder to play the nuts, right? You're just like, man, how do I get money? What can I do? But he's going to bet, and this is going to probably lose his customer.
No, top pair. That's a tough fold when, Pedro still has plenty of offsuit hands from the hijack. If you're Pieter, you can imagine this is ace of spade, offsuit 10, maybe even a queen jack O with a spade.
You're right. You're right. You can't just like assume to fold there. I just the sizing was big, but I guess yeah, it sets up an SPR of 1, and you can decide. You can then yeah, you get to decide. The board does pair, but again, not going to be like he's just deciding what he's going to do. Is he going to shove? Is he going to
Yeah.
bet something? I mean, there's 1.4. He's got 1 point. He's got exactly SPR 1.
Yeah, I
So
don't think he's displeased with that river because his bluffs missed, pretty much pure. Can't think of any bluff except ace 3 suited that would have gotten there. So, Pieter has a very reasonable candidate to call off here, knowing that he beats so many of those offsuit hands. And it's really a count now, trying to figure out just how bad is my jack of hearts blocking ace of spade offsuit jack, queen of spade offsuit jack, anything else. Finds a fold. It's nice. Strong fold. And then, of course, how light does Pedro go for value? What is he doing with ace of spade offsuit king? Is he ever betting ace king no spade on the river? That kind of stuff is going to play in.
Yep. Yeah, call turn, evaluate. That there was a big sizing, but you're right. I mean, there's obviously a lot of hands as he did happen to have the nuts. That's the commentator bias. We got to be, I got to be careful not to fall into that, especially doing it every week.
Tricky.
It is tough when you just see that you say, oh yeah, of course you could fold there.
Yeah. Ming does go for the 3-bet rather than the shove. Now we have to see, does he have the game to balance that with some bluffs? We've seen twice where he's put in the raise with ace king O instead of shoving, and I think it's great, but I haven't seen him really choose a bluff yet to kind of match up to that, although he hasn't had many good opportunities. This
Lucky Ming
could be an opportunity against Adamo, and he snap folds. It's a good dodge.
Yeah, kind of getting an insight into Lucky Ming's strategy, but he also has had good timing, and there would have been misstepping pretty tremendously, as it doesn't seem fair that Adamo gets the tier 1 hands, but hey, he does. He gets some good hands too. And queens, Lucky Ming, queens to queen 9 off. I mean, it's one big blinds dominated, one of the better hands he could be up against if you have queens. Calls, not going to connect with the flop. King 8-7, rainbow. Lucky Ming worlds ahead. Does have the over out there. And he's going to bet it. Kind of hard to get raised here too, right? Because like you block king queen, it's like with king jack even raise you. That's actually not like that. That's not that scary of a flop for the queen.
Sure.
It's the king 8-7. So he does make a nice kind of bet protection and also maybe get some value. Does win it, and he is 3.2 in second. Boykin first, ace jack. See if we start seeing him open up more now as the chip leader. I would expect that, but ace jack certainly a playable hand. Going to be opening that regardless. Big blind play. How wide? I mean, this is something I've seen too, a lot tighter play in the big blind, some kind of folds, especially multi-way pots. Here, Jack 6 suited, closing the action. It starts getting dicey, though, with his stack size.
Yeah, I probably would appeal that, but again, that might be being calibrated to more top-heavy payouts. So maybe, that extra pressure that's on his stack there makes it really close but a fold. I don't think he would have folded Jack 7 suited. I think, the ability to make a straight, it's going to make a pretty big difference there. But, Boyka does have a good spot to open light. So, the Jack 6 suited is looking a lot more enticing than it is against a normal under the gun or low Jack range. Definitely expect to see Mike play a lot more limps here. This hand, very likely going in there. Now that Boyka has this stack advantage, he doesn't really have the pressure to exert. And Boyka's got a tough spot. He could go either way. Checks.
Six nine suited, king 5. Both players make it a pair. Hard to make a pair. Say that a lot, and the limit hold'em, it's true. So when you do, especially heads up in a wide range situation such as blind on blind, going to feel a little better about your hand. Boyka up around 4 million here. And Adamo with a nice little turn, little reassurance with the club in case somebody's behind. He's got some backup and does have the best hand already. So let's see if he starts putting chips in the middle. He can feel pretty good that he's got the best hand. Check, check on the flop.
Pretty big size, larger than I would have guessed. But yeah, tough to imagine folding Boyka's hand there on the turn. That's pretty strong. After you check back flop, king 5, pretty nice hand to continue with. Strange spot for Adamo here. He's got, plenty of bluffs that missed, but at the same time, Boyka still just has better hands even without having improved. There's plenty of better six, and then maybe a small portion of 10x in Boyka's range, and that's without counting any of the Jack X of clubs or Ace Jack King. Well, not Ace Jack. Pays it off. It's perfect max value from Adamo there, and I don't think there's another player at this table who makes as much money on that hand as he does.
Yeah, it's a good point. He does find a way to extract value. He gets paid, and he is in the hunt for sure right now, looking for his 7th GGMillion title. That would be, I believe, a record. I don't want to misspeak, but I think Artur Mortuzian, how I mentioned, has in that range 6 or 7, and Nicholas Ostad as well. But no one else here you can see. I think this is actually a lot. Everyone but Lucky Ming with at least 1 title, but still 6 is just, no one has 3 here other than Adamo with the 6, as he is going to get a very good flop. The ace deuce twos versus the 8-9 off. And I mean, just yeah, ace 4. It's a pretty secure board. It's going to just get a snap fold there, and he is now right in it with 3 million chips, tied with Lucky Ming and behind Boyka. Ace queen. We've seen ace queen have a couple of difficult situations today. Not an easy hand to play, but as expected, there's a reason why. It's just like kind of premium, kind of right on the cusp of dominating or being dominated, and definitely a lot of chips. Well, how do you approach ace queen? And I mean, of course, different situations and junctures of the tournament, but do you like it when you see it like at a final table? You're like, oh man, here we go, or are you like, you know what, this is I get to play, and it's got to win chips and got to play hands, and it's like a pretty good hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying no if they deal me ace queen. I'm gonna play it. Sometimes I'm gonna overplay it. I don't think I've often been accused of underplaying it. You said you don't have much affection for ace queen among the playable hands, right?
I mean, look, I'm not the same thing. I'm not like, oh, that's bad. I'm just like it's like one of those ones where I just feel there is a lot, similar to some people like jacks, right? It's just like you kind of know you got to play it, and there's going to be times where you're getting some really tough spots. And I guess my memories, my memory dividends, my memory bank from ace queen in important situations hasn't been amazing, but whatever. That's also
text the family, let them know, get dinner ready. Dad's home soon.
Yes, yeah, we're sub 30 blinds. We got ace queen, and it's just how it goes. Sometimes you gotta get it in.
Let's see here. Lucky Ming has done a really good job of not losing any more chips than he needed to. There's not many spots, if any, that you could point to where you say he could have. I mean, actually, the Queen Jack of Hearts, but he made money on that. But realistically, yeah, he's saved all over the place. Ramiro goes for a big bet after a check on the flop, and yeah, interesting spot for Lucky Ming. He knows he beats all the bluffs, still folds. Really good. And that size, you're not really expecting Ramiro has less than a queen for value. It's pretty difficult to put the guy who you saw limp 8-4 suited on the button on trips, especially when it means checking back top pair. That's a really good fold.
Yeah, that is. I mean, he's honestly he's played like he's just kind of avoided awkward situations. He's stepped out of the way when he could have definitely played certain hands and wouldn't have worked out, but he's done well. He's done well to have 3 million. Man, these are two gentlemen not afraid.
No.
Not afraid to tango, both with pretty nice looking suited connector one gappers, and Adamo though knows it's not the time of the tournament to just start peeling and being all loose.
Yeah, that was your PLO hand there, man. That was gorgeous.
No, really. That is anyone knows how to do that, and Pierre knows how to play.
Poor Pierre.
No one doesn't
finally get some, and it's just no action. He's really gotten the shaft.
Yeah, this is going to be not much to think from PP here. 7-9 off. I mean, he's got 11 bigs.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, 7-9-0 is like dominated by the quote bluffs from Pieter's open range, like an ace 9-0. It's just doing terrible. You can see Pieter snap fold threes. I think that's one of the more common mistakes you'll see from players who are not very well ICM trained is they're just kind of thinking chips, and they treat some of these low pocket pairs and just kind of rip them in for 14, 15 big, sometimes from early and middle position. And that can be a pretty big punt. It's an easy leak to close.
All right, well, let's see Lucky Ming get into a tough one here, because this is a difficult situation. You're getting faced with aggression. Your stack is very, you got a good stack, you got a good hand. Do you want to just play it aggressively? Do you want to go to a flop? Do you want to play back? Folding doesn't seem reasonable, so let's see what he comes up with here.
I think what we've seen he would call here. Wow, he goes for the 4-bet, which I imagine he's planning on calling off. I would expect Pedro to back down there, yeah. But that's probably the last option I would have guessed. I would have thought that, he plays a call followed by maybe a shove. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a re-raise, and likely to what you mentioned. I thought probably based on how he's played, it could just be a rip. So, yeah, that was
definitely. Yeah, did really well for him, peeling there and not having to play, a coin flip out of position. That's a ton of equity he just carved out for himself.
A couple other nice middling hands, and Pedro, let's see how he approaches with eights. You might just see
I think those are a pretty easy fold there.
Muck. Yeah, appeal doesn't. Yeah, especially when you got Adamo on the button, you got some shove stacks as well. It's just
Pavel and Pieter's stacks. It just seems, even, I mean, maybe at this point he's seen the Ramiro ace-2 off open. If that was 30 plus minutes ago, maybe it's not quite as easy as I'm phrasing, but I still think with those two guys significantly shorter than you, eights are just going to line up really poorly.
All right, still 7 left. We are 2 hours into the show, so this is again kind of unprecedented, but it's also shaping up for sort of the blinds getting up and it getting a little bit shallower later. This is how it goes. At some point, the stacks must collide. We will play to a winner. We do appreciate you being here. Let us know where you're watching from. Got a lot of Brazil in the chat. Good to see you guys. Boa tarde. Got my 307-day Portuguese streak going, so we're working at it. We all can't be Darren Elias and just decide to learn. He's going to Brazil for a tournament in a few months before he just learns Portuguese in 2 months. But hey, I've been married for 9 years, and we're moving through. I'm on the I got to learn poker first, Jonathan. We're doing everything. I'm doing a little everything, like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
That's great. Do you have a log? Did I like blank? Did Lucky Ming fold 10-8 suited in the big blind to that open? I saw Pedro open King Jack O, and then my brain was scattered. But
yeah, that is, I believe, what happened. And I was following the chat here off screen. I think I'm almost sure. We can have the audience verify, but I'm on my mobile setup today. I'm looking at the chat. I thought I did see him have that in the blind. If there wasn't a flop, then I think that is.
I didn't look closely. I thought maybe it was 10-6 suited or something, which still, but 10-8 suited. Holy moly, that kind of changes my assessment of Lucky Ming's approach, from kind of careful to like extremely careful. If I see something like that and kind of try to put it together with the rest of what we've seen from him, I might not call a single bluff catcher versus him. It just seems like he's treating every chip like it is, very precious.
Saying it was,
as you can see.
10-8 suited in the big blind. Looks like both players do flop.
Interesting check raise from Pedro here. I think this is a kind of check raise a lot of players shy away from because it feels quite uncomfortable taking a hand that could call so easily and turning it into this hybrid where you're not really sure where you're at if you get called or shoved on. And it looks like, he's not even sure. Okay, he does fold. But, you could imagine plenty of club draws, maybe even ace king with the ace of clubs, finding some shoves there. The downside there is certainly Pedro will have check raise folded the best hand some of the time. In that case, worked out just fine. But the upside to a check raise like that is denying equity to a bunch of hands that have 2 overs and are going to bluff you out a lot on the turn.
Ace queen, here we go. Ace queen, but 8-6 off. Not going to defend the under the gun raise. Going to move it, and we are with a short stack. We haven't had a while. Blinds are up 50, 100. Peter Alerts has got the 8.6 blind stack. No premiums dealt here.
See what Mike does with Pavel's limp. Definitely has options.
And I would imagine Michael has a lot of respect for Pavel. They probably played a lot live online, aware of his
Certainly,
game,
yeah.
understands that. But again, Adamo doesn't shy away. Still just kind of plays the situation range. You can say, you know, I know, you know, but still plays his hand. Okay, so the 7-8, 7-5. Everyone is got the 7. And it is currently a chop, right? So what's that, 7 with the 3? Yeah, so let's see if there's a way to win the hand other than going to showdown. I mean, 7-5. Interesting, Adamo didn't raise pre-flop, but I guess, oh, the 8. Straight.
I think, you know, with the king making the bigger straight, you'll see Pavel find a lot of check here, induce some bluffs from Mike, and he's just got an easy check call, but opts for the small bet instead.
What do you think that Adamo calls with here that he would beat?
Yeah, I think he's got a very difficult decision if he ever has two pair. That seems like a heck of a lot of hand to fold where it's reasonable Pavel could be value betting two pair for one big blind. And then, yeah, I think you're just going to see a mixed bag that's going to be super card dependent as far as trying to unblock what you think Pavel's bluffs are.
Yeah.
I think in that situation, the majority of Pavel's bluffs, I mean, does he have any ace low? I don't think so. Probably shoves that almost always. It's really tough to find Pavel's bluffs there.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 4-5 suited.
Queen 9, Boyka, who is your current chip leader by a hair over Ming, gonna call ace queen, 8-8 ace. Not too interesting. We saw Ramiro check back the ace 9, got blown off in a spot. I mean, this is much different, but he does check back. He seems to err on caution. If you have, oh, this is actually, so he picks up a gut shot, covers. Let's see. No, just gonna check. Ramiro gonna come betting now. Now goes big.
Yeah, so now he's kind of decided, all right, Boyka doesn't have an 8 almost ever. Jacks probably aren't in that range. Just take my ace with a kicker and try to get max out of Boyka's ace low. But, you know, that might not even be the best strategy given that we saw Boyka make that fantastic ace 9 fold to Adamo early on that turn ace. I believe it was like maybe 8-7-4 turn ace of hearts. And
Yep.
yeah, he folded the ace 9 of clubs. Wow. Finds the fold. Looks pretty worth shoving. Very, very close, but probably a call.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't
no one.
imagine.
He's just 2x shorter than the next shortest stack.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
think
it's
maybe, wow. You know, maybe it is a fold with the flatness of the payouts and, you
yeah.
know, it's not a full big blind ante. We're missing, you know, 12.5%.
I would think it actually is a fold. Like I would think it's a fold, but it's very close. Yeah, and I think he's calling like 10. Yeah, probably Jack 10. Well, definitely a little better suited and connected.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's he's so short. He's got an orbit though. He's got the full orbit.
sure, sure. Yeah, my suspicion is he ought to be calling there, but you know, all these players, they have more familiarity with this format than I do.
That would be one to plug in, right? That's the one. Those are one of the ones that if you're looking at home and you're wondering there, because that's not even okay. Well, 10-8, maybe you in your mind, at home, if you got a spot this tournament, you just not call it off with 10-8 suited. But what is the cutoff and what is your cutoff, and then talk about that. That's a good way to study and review, not just specific hands, similar situations. And Jax Adamo putting on Ramiro.
Wouldn't be shocked if we see a 4-bet here, It's you can imagine, everyone, there it is. And I think when you play the way Adamo does, you don't really find a fold here because you understand people are going to play back at you. And the guy who, raises ace-2 off in the low jack and limps the button with 8-4 suited is probably not the candidate to make a big fold. So I think he's going to put it in Ramiro's face here.
Yes, he does. And Ramiro's thinking, man, how do you actually have it here? And Pavel's going to slam a deuce on the table just in case.
That's how you, get to 6 GGMillion stable. What is it, 6 titles, you said? That's the kind of play that propels you to your 7th.
He's got 4 Milski right now, sitting in the lead, looking for 7.
Yeah.
Nice spot for Pieter there on the button, ace-queen suited. Not going to have a customer. As we said, passed off calling 10-8 suited. Now he's going to pick up about 230. Pretty big stack increase, right? 660. Picking up one, big amount in the middle.
Let me ask you, Jeff. You're in Ramiro's spot in some situation, and you go for the 4-bet against an aggressive player. He jams on you, and you have to fold. How do you reset after that? I always find that very painful.
Well, also, it is. It's also painful when you're chip leader at a final table. Although the gap, it wasn't huge. It's right now he is sort of letting it in a way slip away, right? He's like sort of tied for the second lowest stack or whatever. I guess it's like a multi-way tie, but that's hard to recover too. Because when you get to a final table, you're 1-9. You're like, all right, I'm gonna get top 3. I'm gonna play solid. I'm gonna, I have it, and of course it can depend on how distributed tightly the chips are. But yeah, right now it's not fun. You sort of have been sparring. You're getting kind of beat up. You make a big, you step out, you make a play, and you run into the top of someone's range. So I think, it is hard. It's hard to come back. It's hard to kind of find your identity again at the table. And there's a lot of momentum and confidence at these things. So it's sort of, how you assert yourself. Are you calling? Are you raising? Are you trapping? Pavel had a nice trap with aces, won a big pot. Actually, Ramiro made a good fold there on that king queen with the king 8.
Yeah, that was a big save.
Forward. Yeah, that helped him. So, here he goes. Queens going to get another good spot. Now, Pieter with the ace-2 suited, be curious if he, let's see, 9 blinds, first in, suited ace.
Tell you the interesting party, or the interested party is this makes all the difference. Wow, he just saved Pedro. Pedro was about to put it in with about 8% equity. Because you're not, you got to shove against that button open from Ramiro with Jack 10 suited, I think. That was a big save for Pedro.
Yeah.
And it was a really close spot for Pieter.
Well, a lot of hand here. This is no gimme. This has got to go for 5. Let's see. And it is a piece diamond for the sweat. We know that's and when it's time for some action, it is. Can he fade the river? And yes, Ramiro can. Pieter going to go out. Quite a sweaty turn card there. 3 would have actually chopped it. That is going to be a knockout, and we are going to be down to 6. And kings, queens, hello. Look on the scan of that table. We got Adamo looking to just absolutely truck stick this our friend from Brazil here, and there's an open in front too, and we are gonna maybe have to cue the giveaways just like that. We've been a little quiet. Now we all of a sudden got some action brewing. Ramiro's back to 2.6, 6-handed. Adamo looking to get up over 5.5 if he can get this in pre, which I don't see any other situation, right? This is queens, king, open. It's gonna go.
Pedro's debating the 3-better shove, goes for the shove.
Wow.
Adamo has a pretty straightforward, I don't think there's. Yeah, it's the question is, would you ever call 1.5 here and not put the rest? I don't think he has that kind of range. I think you just put the rest in here.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting if Pedro shoves for like 1.1.
This is a couple of big hands here in a row. And Adamo, can he do it yet again? Can he just dominate to the top 4, 5, 6, 7, or 3, maybe for possible straight chops. No, it is going to be a queen or queen only, or we're going to be down. And that is not paint. That is not paint, Jonathan. That is a knockout. That is absolutely electric stuff.
I'd tell you something kind of funny. Pavel likes to show a card every time someone's all in. He's goofing around, like throwing out the emojis or whatever. And I'm like, I've played with him maybe 10 times, and I've almost never seen him say a word without like somebody asking him a question. It's just so funny when someone's like a really quiet dude in person and like just really goofy online. I never would have guessed that. That's pretty funny.
Well, he's having fun, and we are 5-handed, and Adamo is just, I mean, is this literally, are we about to go on a highlight reel? Is this just going to be a spree of Adamo going for his 7th title and just an absolute celebration of this player's game? I mean, he's behind here, but it doesn't feel like it, right? It's tier 1. It's ace king versus sixes.
He's 65, 35 at least.
Yeah, this is like flop a flush, Broadway. I mean, this is just all of it, just working. Pavel, though, tough. Yeah. This is high energy. This is something that has to give. Hard to know here, but that is a sweaty board, super sweaty. There's a lot of cards that could come here, big cards in particular, and it is a fade.
How's he dodge?
Fade the world. I saw this was at the Poker Go they just had. It was a Fox and Shack, right? The Ace 10 suit. It was like double gutted, 2 overs, nut flush draw on the turn, and just faded. It's too many outs. You know how it goes. It's not a guarantee. And there's ace queen yet again. Adamo back to reality, but still leading.
might be popping this one up here. Wouldn't be surprising to see a 3-bet.
You just can't help it, right? It's what.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's actually relatively reasonable when you've got this kind of command. Yeah, it just clicks it on him. You know, wouldn't be surprising to see Ramiro peel here rather than, you know, want to risk his 26 big blind stack. It's a very tough spot if you're Ramiro, knowing that Mike's not going to skip.
I think he might just surf it in. You think he might not? You think he's going to? I think he might just.
I think it's super close. I don't think we're seeing a full, but yeah, you're right.
Surfs up, but yeah, whatever. It's at that point, you know, he's just enough's enough. He's in there. Ace queen, going to be good a lot. Let's play a big pot.
I'd be interested to see if potentially if 3-bet comes in from Ramiro here. Oh, actually, I forgot Boyka's got the 9s.
King 4 gonna whiff completely.
Yeah.
See if Pavel wants to.
I'm not sure about that open there, you know, with Mike on your left, Boyka on the button. I think that might have been a little bit loose from Pavel. I think, you know, if you sub, let's say, Lucky Ming for Adamo in those spots, then I could maybe see this open, but this kind of looks like it was asking for trouble.
Yeah, diamonds do arrive. That would be a flush if you were to hold 2 diamonds in your hand. Neither player with a diamond. 9 still in the lead in a big way. Let's see if Pavel decides to slow down with no diamond. Makes sense. Took a shot. Now 9s.
Yeah, took a big shot.
Yeah, took a size was large. But let's see, 9s. No over to your hand. You flat pre, and now lot in the middle.
Really only protection if you're betting here. It's to kind of find that check back on the river. Yeah, I think the check looks pretty darn good there. Can't see enough benefit to betting.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Pavel, I think you've got a pretty damn good candidate to bluff because you're unblocking those big clubs, which are what you're hoping he has. And I guess you're unblocking pocket 9s, pocket 10s, 2 other hands you're maybe hoping for Boyka to have, possibly 7s. I don't think you're worried about the 5 at all. I think that's a great spot to put a bluff in. Oftentimes, one of your worst bluffs on the previous street becomes one of your best bluffs once all is said and done. That's what we're seeing here, where if he'd taken a more reasonable candidate, like a Jack 10 of clubs or King Queen of clubs on the flop, that might not be such a good bluff on the river here because you'd want Boyka to be holding those cards.
as it stands, even with this good bluff, Boyka's super interested. Still 10 minutes on that chess clock. You see counting down. Every player gets 15 minutes. Ramiro Patron's taking a lot. He's got 4 minutes left. Pavel still has 10 minutes. Adamo doesn't take too long, 7.5.
How
Lucky Ring
often do you
not
see
using his head.
somebody? Sorry, how often do you see somebody drain their clock all the way down? How often does that happen?
Man, I don't know, maybe every other show. Like there's definitely
Okay,
times where it gets low, like towards the end. And I've seen it both players not have it once. That was pretty entertaining. The heads up match
that's
towards the end,
cool.
they were just
That's
like
very cool.
that was like a chess feel to it with
I would like to
old
play a game
chess.
like that. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's rare.
And what's the circumstance with no clock? How much time do you have per decision before clock
Five
kicks
five
in?
seconds. 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Let's go.
Yeah,
I wish we could have
yeah.
live tournaments like that.
That would be fun. That would be fun to do
That'd be very cool.
A World Series event. One just like yeah, super like a real what I don't know what you call it, hyper clock, hyper turbo
Mm.
extravaganza. That would be interesting.
This is a really fun puzzle for Boyka to try and solve here. He's trying to think both sides of it, trying to figure out what type of value might Pavel play like this. Maybe we're seeing an overpair with a diamond, particularly the tens through queens. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, really any overpair with a diamond makes sense here. And then what frequency does Pavel check the turn with an ace king or ace queen with a diamond? And then where do the bluffs come from? Outside of a couple of big clubs. And a lot of that comes down to just how wide is Pavel going to open. So, I mentioned earlier, I don't really like this king four suited open from the hijack, given where the stacks were. And yet, that's really worked to his advantage here because if Boyka is ranging him with a snugger range, which I think Boyka would be opening, then he's going to have a lot of trouble figuring out what Pavel's bluffing here. Really tough spot.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's super curious because he is yo finds it. I kind of the
Wow.
longer he thought, the
Hell of a
more I thought he
call.
might get it. That was they say think long, think wrong, but that was just dead on. Well
That's
played
a
by
hell of a
Boyka.
call.
Showing class, and that's going to earn him the tie for the chip lead right now. Everyone pretty healthy. 1.5 only for Pavel. Everyone else 3.5, 3.1, 4.1. And Ramiro, this guy's VPIP'd a lot. He has really played a lot of hands. He's gotten dealt a lot of kind of ace, jack, queen, king, ace, queen type hands
Yeah.
all day long. He's sort of just been getting like medium-ish hands. He timed out with kings also, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that was a fantastic call from Boyka. I would, that's the kind of spot where I think, it's fascinating to hear a person's process while they're in there. I would love to know the different thoughts that went through Boyka's head there,
Yeah.
as he tried to range him.
Yeah, Pavel gonna rip that.
Yeah, nobody really close to him in stack, so it doesn't feel so risky.
Also a nice hand here. Queen 10 suited definitely would like to see a flop.
Yeah,
See
tough
what
spot
Pavel
for
comes
Pavel.
with. Yes,
Very close. Goes for essentially the shove, the kind of one where, should Adamo put more money in and Boyka does, we expect he's going to fold with the other half of the
Let me ask you
stack.
why 750 though, not 650 or 550 if it's going to effectively be the same? Where's the cutoff and why what that is? It just sort of like a not a committal that's big, but you have room to get off. Like where? How do you actually
Yeah,
come up with that number?
it's a great question. I'm really not sure. I think at the same point, you have to find a number where Boyka is not finding it appealing to peel with some hands. Because part of the reason we shove is so that we deny equity to, let's say, a nice borderline hand like 9-10 suited that would never call a shove, but would call a
Yeah.
three big blind open. But yeah, I'm not sure where that exists, and I'm not so sure that the best players have really refined that to the
Yeah.
degree where they actually know what they should be going to.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly haven't. I think when in doubt, there are some strategies that you can copycat relatively easily and not have to think about yourself. And there are other ones where if you try to play copycat, you might be worse off than if you just go with what you've always known.
Look at this size. I mean, we got a pot bet from Ramiro on the ace 10 suited defends, and he just this is the exact hand which you're going to put in the full blender. Like, how can you really continue here with this, even though you're so high up in the range? It's like, are you going to peel this? And now there's 1.5 in the middle, and you're just like, you could be in super bad shape. So this is a very interesting hand.
I want to see a final table with 9 Ramiros. I would love to see, this is some interesting poker.
Head
You're
spinning.
seeing all different things, some things that just don't occur to anyone and, might be classified by a lot of people really quickly as, oh, that's bad poker, but he's had some effective results, between that ace queen suited that he kind of reemerged after limping, even with a 3-bet and a 4-bet, and the 8-4 suited button limp. Celuan wouldn't shove the sevens in the big blind for like 15 bigs. So he's produced some really, really, he's captured a lot more EV than you might think. Like when you blast 7-5 suited on King 10-9 rain, and you get ace 10 to fold, that's fantastic. There weren't many other routes to winning that.
Yeah, really special stuff here. 6-7 gonna hit pretty hard. You got the top pair and a gut shot. King deuce suited backdoor overs, and he is backdoor over clubs. I mean, this is a nice spot for Ramiro as Boyka's starting to just fire here.
Yeah.
Still 6-7. You're a little. It's not super comfortable. You definitely like the flop. I mean, he is
Sure.
gonna have the pretty big lead. King deuce suited doesn't turn any equity.
Yeah. It's 10's not typically a very bad turn for him to be blasting, given that, Ramiro certainly doesn't have overpairs to the 10 and doesn't check call the flop with a 10 almost ever. So he's got an interesting candidate for a really loose bet. I think King of Clubs might not be the best card to be holding, but yeah, he goes for it here, kind of suspecting that he'll fold Ramiro off any 4 or 3 that doesn't come along with a straight draw and any 3 that doesn't have diamonds. And then maybe he gets the, some 7x to fold too. Certainly like a Jack 7, 8-7 looks pretty terrible for a call. But 6-7, yeah, you can't really ditch that one. Interesting spot for Boyka now. You're pretty much dead bottom of your range. Your 8-9 got there, your Jack 9 got there, your diamonds got there. But from a blocker perspective, he's not blocking any diamonds. Tough
Right.
spot. I think he's got to fire something though. Certainly we can see Ramiro's hand and how effective we think a shove or a bet would be. But yeah, when you're in it with Boyka, Boyka's hand here, it's really tough where, you're rethinking all of it to get to this point. You could have played differently on the flop, certainly could have played differently on the turn. But once you get here to not follow through, that might be the crime. But it's a really tough way to lose 95% of your chips if it goes south.
Well, he is in the tank. He is in the tank. This is a pivotal pot, of course, for potentially what either player is going to have around 5 million.
Yeah.
I guess it could be more if somehow it's a bet and a call. I mean, honestly, like 6-7 though, right? This is would be a lot if he does put a big bet in. Be asking a lot, but hey, we've seen crazier, and Ramiro's definitely.
Sure.
This is a. It's rare you see a tank this long with air, right? Like I just like the fact he's tanking this long, and he does pull the trigger, and for that size,
Small bet. Interesting to play a 1/3 pot here on the river. I think that's pretty cool. And if I'm Ramiro, I don't think the 7 of diamonds really blocks value. It just blocks pocket sevens because we don't expect Boyka to barrel the turn with 7x of diamonds very much. That seems pretty loose at a final table. Seems like a pretty good check back. So I think Ramiro's sitting with a nothing special bluff catcher.
wow.
He makes a call.
Wow.
Beautiful call.
That's high level stuff. Reminds me of a past guest. We got Green Eyed Asian, the username in there, Matt Simon. What's up, man? I see you. That's one of your calls right there. That's hero. Cape is on, and the chip leader, the man who started as a chip leader, is your chip leader 5-handed. He was on his way out. Now he's got the lead, and that is going to put some extra confidence in his stuff. That's high level poker. That's big time bluff, big time calls. That's a lot going on. We got 3 suited. I don't want to say top tier hands, but good hands going here. Ace deuce suited, king jack suited, ace 5 suited. A lot happening. Pavel may just this is a 3-bet though. Open 3-bet, and I don't know about the cold 4, but these casted characters. Lucky's been pretty in line.
Yeah, these guys have had 2 hours of seeing Lucky do nothing particularly aggressive. So I think this is going to be an interesting spot for both Pavel and Adamo. I think Adamo would put this in just about anyone's face, but I think he's got a really tough spot against Lucky Ming, who he probably assumes is under bluffing. So yeah, this is going to be really tough for Adamo. This is one of those few times where you give Adamo ace-5 suited, and I'm not sure what he's going to do. He does fold.
Wow.
And that's Ming's reputation. So, you know, really nice. And one of the things is when you do happen to build a nitty reputation, the blinds only go one direction. So it's kind of nice when, you know, when your 3-bet works at 50, 100 instead of 20, 40, you know, supposing you made it to that level, it's got a lot more value later on. And Ming has built that reputation. And, you know, I can't imagine Adamo has, you know, a long list of folding ace-5 suited to a 3-bet.
Well, Lucky Ming came to play today. Cambodia represented in the flag. We've got a pretty international crew, as we see right here. Some unique flags. Not the Austria, not its best showing. Usually has a podium spot reserved. They are not there, and it is currently wide open. Lucky Ming looking to be the first time champion. Everyone else has had that, and the GG Million that is here. Adamo again. Will he get 7? I don't know. 3.5. He's in the running. 5-handed 3.5. Can't bet against him. Ramiro, though, looking to stamp it for another time. I think he has 2.
The Jack 8-0 open from the hijack. Pretty loose. Adamo skips the 3-bet. See what size we see from Ramiro here. He's got a habit of checking when he's got a moderate hand or a good hand, and blasting pot when he's got garbage. Can't imagine we see pot here, but I'd be curious what comes out. Pretty healthy.
Man, Ramiro's got some. He's got some moxie. He really does.
Yeah.
He really does got a couple gears.
The tricky thing when you put that kind of, you know, money in the pot, I can't imagine Ming folds this hand, and it's really tough to keep firing shells because you've probably backed Lucky Ming away from check raising his big hands like 2s and 9s. So you're still walking into some of that, and then yeah, it's just very king oriented when you get called here. So, you know, I would worry about blasting Jack 8 here. All right, flying solo for a minute. So yeah, the call comes in, and here's the offsuit too. And I mean, we definitely can't count Ramiro out for firing again, but this would feel really, really difficult, especially when you block the Jack 10, Queen Jack, which are the easiest folds Ming would have on the turn. You know, I would have a lot of trouble finding a bluff here, coming off of that big size that we put in on the flop.
Yeah. So
You're
now
good.
that's an interesting point. You say when you get called, this is sort of it's shaking up to be an interesting spot where what do you do when you do get called, and then now both players with nothing on the river and the ace comes. I mean, man.
Very tough spot for Ming. He snap checks, but yeah, he's got to assume that he's basically never going to win here. And Ramiro kind of gets bailed out with just about the only river that makes sense to bluff, but he passes on it, and I don't necessarily blame him. And you can see that's a pretty tough loss there. I think just about everyone else, had they played a small bet on the flop in Ramiro's shoes, they're going to get to find a bet either on the turn or river, most likely the river. But his big bet kind of made him feel a little shy about trying to represent on the river. I think we got to see the kind of flip side to how that big bet on a texture that doesn't really call for it can kind of backfire.
Yeah, good point, and a good. It's nice to see it can go multiple ways, right? That is important to know. Things don't always work, and then also, what's your plan? I see that a lot where I feel like people 3-bet and sort of light, or they do something live in particular, and then like someone calls or there's a spot and they just like really don't have a plan, or like a card comes and then
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, okay, well this happened, and now what well, I'm supposed to just hit my card or they're supposed to fold, but now I didn't, and now it's like kind of awkward. So yeah, that also happens.
I think a lot of the players who gravitate, or, a lot of people who gravitate to poker, they're strategic minds and they're very logic oriented. So they've got all these logical reasons why they're doing something on the flop, let's say blasting pot on the king 10-9. And he'll make really good points. I would imagine if you ask Ramiro, why did you do that? And they'll be reasonable. But the problem is, poker's far more complicated than just how the opponent's going to react on the flop. So even if they are overfolding, you've still got a turn and river to play, and you might have had a different way to approach this hand that carved out even more equity, whether on the flop, turn, or river. But yeah, flop poker is just so complicated because there's too many unknown variables, not just your opponent's hand, but what the turn and river card will be.
Yeah, well said. And Jack's here. Boyka going to pick it up. Boyka's had a bit of a roller coaster, sort of not great timing. Just sort of ran into top of range early. Then he got going and was chip leader. Now he's 2 million, and he's sort of in a dogfight down there with fifth place, or I guess tied at the bottom with Pavel. But again, still some play, still enough to
Everyone
move.
except Pavel's been chip leader.
Yeah. That's right. It has. There's been. I mean, it's been tight today, and we see that as this has been a very long, very entertaining show. Got a lot of action. We've seen a little of everything today. Some great calls, great bluffs, great drama, and we are again going to pick a winner of the YouTube. Let's see. Well, we have a couple of giveaways. We got the winner either for $50 or $100 today. That'll be depending who wins. If it's Jonathan or my player, then we will have a YouTube giveaway, which is a $50 cash giveaway. You guys can go to Jeff Gross Poker on Twitter, retweet all the instructions. Good luck to you in that. So we'll put that up as well. And yeah, a lot of people already into that. And hey, yeah, are you one of those? Did you start with $50 or a free play and run your roll up? Are you in that book or?
I sent a $200 money order to Poker Stars when I was 16. I, didn't have access to a credit card and didn't want to ask my parents for anything. So, yeah, it was a $200 deposit. And I think there was another subsequent deposit years later, but that lasted me a long time. That definitely turned into 5 figures.
There you go. I mean, that's sort of from
How
this
about yourself?
generation. Yes, I mean, sort of just like party. It was actually back in the day, party poker. I think it was the first one I ever played on, and that was like, yeah, $50 sort of. They had all these bonus deposit stuff and friends, player to player, around the same age as you. I think it was in high school, and so I don't know. It wasn't a one hit. It wasn't a one hit wonder. Might as well be, right. It was sort of like a few $50 trial and errors throughout, and then just kind of whatever. That was the heyday. That was really that.
That
I don't know.
was.
It was amazing back then. I wish I
Yeah.
played a little bigger. I was playing like 25-cent, 50, $1, $2. I was like, man, if I was like 1 year ahead, or if I was playing like the 10, 20 or 25-50s then, or 5-10 even, it would have been. It took me a little bit to get moving on there, and I got into tournaments pretty early as well.
Okay.
Playing like the 30 rebuys and those online for
Nice.
a long time. Yeah, it was fun though. Sit and goes too. I played sit and goes for a while, and yeah,
I remember
poker's great. Poker's great
yeah,
now, but it was great then. It was really great.
the $50 party poker you mentioned. I remember getting that and playing a $20 tournament, and I got heads up and got it in good in some fashion or another. And my brother's watching, and it's like 3K for first. We're real excited. It runs out, win, turn, we high five. We're so excited. And then he's like looking at the screen and he goes, wait, it says second place. And we look back and he's got the chips. And I'm like, what? I don't
Yeah.
understand. And we look at
Oh
the like,
man.
we didn't notice like a running flush or something. I was so
Yep.
oblivious to like running draws.
Yep. That's that's the worst. I have a fake celebration from a Twitch stream. It was a pretty good sized final table. It was fun, and my buddy had just walked in the room, and I turned like set of kings. It was all in pre, and he like goes nuts and celebrates, and I like told him, wait, because there was like some whatever, and then it hits, and it hurts when you get the fake celebration.
Oh man. Yeah.
It really is wrong. It's not fun when that happens, but we've been
Yeah.
there. We've been there on both sides. Yeah.
No. Look
Well,
like a more
let me see.
acceptable 10-8 suited fold there. Pavel and the hijack. Those are painful, letting 10-8 suited go on the hijack.
Yeah. Yeah, this is getting to the critical time of the tournament here. There we go. Jack 9 Ramiro. No waiting. Give me 1 sec. I'm having
How does he do it? Interesting spot if you're Pavel here, facing the Adamo open from the hijack. It's kind of a good open spot. Lucky Ming on the button. I was just talking to the audience here saying this is an interesting spot if you're Pavel in the big blind. I would rip these fours all in. I'd be headed home just because I think it's a really good open for Adamo with Lucky Ming on the button. Yeah, here it goes. And Ramiro in the
Aces to
small blind.
force. Pavel got the bad news. See if he's going to be able to hold the aces, and he is in a great spot. Oh my goodness. The 4 on the turn changes things. Still outs, though. No way it is going to run like that, and that is going to be a boat for Pavel, who finds it. The king 10 shows Ramiro would have actually taken it down. This is a crazy. Hey, this is that type of day. We weren't going to get a runaway. We're gonna play it out. We're gonna have everyone be tied again with chips, and we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna go for a course record day. At the moment, we've got
It looked like the Adamo show for a minute, but no longer.
crazy. That was a crazy turn, 92% or whatever it was. He had to hit the 4 only, and then there was still a redraw to the straight. He could have the ace, and it did not come, as we are going to see. 5-handed Boyka now your short stack. And Adamo, 2.2 million now. These are tough. These spots are tough. When you're defending, you got a weak ace, you're out of position. These ones are especially 5-handed here, and he's going to step into it. Ramiro. Ramiro's going to not think long. I mean, that is, again, he was right. He's ahead, and ace-7 is going to get bailed out with a chance on the flop. A spade is also available, but the jack turns, takes away the 7. Let's see the river. Feels like too many outs. Ooh, nope, it's a diamond, but is it a something?
It's a 7.
It's a 7. Wow, cool run out there as he gets a little tease of everything and then a pair, but the jack came on the turn, was relevant to the situation. We are 4-handed. We're going to cue the giveaway. 7.5. Your chip leader who started has over double the chips of second at the moment. So Ramiro sort of finds his way back to the top. Let's see if he can take it down. If he's able to close
Ramiro,
it out.
I think he earned that shove from ace-7 with his reputation, with some of these light opens. I'm not so sure Boyka shoves that on Lucky Ming, for example, and might play a little bit differently there, even though he flopped a draw. They're just picking on these limps. He's really, been playing hard at him. What a shove by Lucky Ming. He says, come on, how often is this going to be 9s plus? That's a nice limp shove. Really just earned back a lot of that equity that Ramiro had been stealing with his blind versus blind aggression.
Yeah, these
are pretty interesting spots here where, you've got raises, but, maybe not king 10-0, but there's enough of a chip lead here where I don't think it's out of the question to play shoves. Now, that said, there's only half a big blind in antes. I'm not so familiar with that. I think maybe shove is out of the question there.
Yeah, 5-9 off here, 7.5 million, 6120. Pretty tight stacks here, and he is going to decide to go for it.
Yeah, even into Adamo, who we know is not going to find extra folds. It's pretty loose. He does have a nice chip lead here, but I'm not so sure he wants to be opening 9-5-0 in this spot. That's possibly a decent way to lose the chip lead.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see here. Well, he does pair the 5. He's got a key card with the 9. And 8-10, though, also blocks the straight, has the 8. No player with the heart. There is a heart draw on the flop. Let's see if Ramiro decides to take and lay it down here. I mean, this is very interesting. Very interesting. And look at this. Does get there as Adamo is gonna be. It's a bit of an uncomfortable spot here with the 8-10 too. I mean, you got a lot going on, but you lose to a lot of hands, and you also don't want to get bluffed off here. So see what he comes with. He's done some blocker bets in spots. Let's see if he's going to try to execute one of those here. He does not throw out a little bet, so he's going to check. And now, I mean, Ramiro has to feel pretty fantastic, of course, with the 9.
Yeah, definitely. You talked about it earlier when Pedro had the ace-7 of spades, how difficult it can be to play the nuts. And this is not the exact nuts, but pretty much. And yeah, it's tough to figure out what size you want to go for if you're Ramiro. He opts for half pot. But yeah, I did not have an immediate instinct as to what size I would play in Ramiro's shoes here. Certainly a calculation about how many bluffs you would have in this situation. But can't imagine going less than half pot. But could certainly see a bigger bet being possible. If we see Mike's hand, I think half pot looks like the perfect bet because Mike's going to have a difficult time calling anything.
Yeah. Whoa.
What a beast. What a beast. It's not going to work, but that's pretty beastly.
It's not going to work, but it actually, the fact that he pauses with the 9 and he's going to leave himself with 195, he does go for it, turns his hand into a bluff, and Ramiro now at 9.6 million, and Adamo is basically out the door. Don't forget, he just got an aces to fours. He would have been the chip leader versus Pavel at the time, and now things have really shifted, and he is in a world of hurt as we're going to be likely 3-handed soon. Not over yet, but it is looking grim for Adamo. What do you think of that shot? What do you think? The 8-10 there, I mean, pretty savage play. It didn't work out.
I think that's how you get a lot of wins, and that's how you get a lot of 7th places. That's kind of what we talked about where Lucky Ming has really, outside of that ace-4 limp shove, not put his stack in jeopardy, but also not given himself the chance to really get this chip lead without a lot of coolers. But yeah, I think doesn't look good this time, but other times Adamo looks like a genius there.
Yep, going to need a 9 or 5. Won't be the case. Did hit a 5, not against Jacks. Lucky is going to finish the job there, take out the very dangerous Adamo. Going to wrap up 154,000 for his FH. 3 left, 197 guaranteed, 321 atop. Lot to play for here on a long one. We are over 3 hours almost. Is that right? 2 hours, 45 minutes into the show right now, and we have got a battle down the stretch. What do we got for our wager in the audience? Let's key the giveaway for them. Cue it, I should say. As it is. Do you have Ramiro? I think I have
Ramiro and I have Ming. I think you have Pavel.
I have Pavel. I gotta have something. I gotta have him. I got something. I got 1 left. 1 of 3 is not bad. We're in trouble, but Ramiro is just kind of really interesting graph he would have at this final table, from chip leader to sort of short-ish stack, and now emerges. It's funny how that works sometimes, right? I guess that's part of the variance in the how, with the chip lead, and it just, you're allowed to absorb a few extra blows and find your way back if you take some hurdles. So he has done that right now, and he is still trying to exert force to win. He has the best hand with ace queen.
Yeah. And you spoke about it earlier, how differently you can feel depending on how you come into a final table. Even with a small chip lead, if you come in with a chip lead, it's just so heartbreaking to get 7th place. But when you're coming in, 7 out of 9, feels kind of sneaky to pull a 3rd place, and you're feeling pretty good about it. And I think those emotions, you get such a roller coaster. So Ramiro had a decent chunk of time where he was middle of the pack and even a little bit lower. And I know personally, if I go from chip lead to out, it feels pretty bad. But if I have this kind of like decompression period as a 10 to 20 big blind stack where I can accept that I'm just one of the boys, then the bust doesn't hurt so much.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to hurt when the queen comes on the river, and now queen 9, surely no way off this.
Yeah, this looks like he might have a raise. I didn't fully track the action, but we're seeing a 33%, or it's a 30% maybe on the river. Tough to imagine your queen 9 blind versus blind isn't a golden hand. This might be a shove from Pavel. Not being fully updated on the action, my instinct is shove. Yeah. Wow. And that's GG.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but at the same time, yeah, I think it will be. It's sort of concerning.
I mean, he's been a wild card, but if he finds a fold here, like, I don't know, when you're B30 on the river with top pair, top kicker,
I don't think he's going to fold either. I'm just saying you're definitely like start thinking, well, did he just like slow play a 3 or hit the 4 or 5? Like, why? How is
Sure,
he?
sure.
Yeah, he's calling. It does look like a call. I could see why I thought a little longer than obviously the other one with Adamo, but that is going to be GG, and we are making quick work of the final stretch here. It is the Ramiro show, and you have just won yourself a nice dinner, Jonathan, for up to as
Let's do
many
it.
as can fit at a table. You're welcome to bring guests. That's fine.
Wonderful.
We didn't clarify on that. We got the money spread out. We got the championship on the line. Lucky Ming, will he be a first-time winner, or will Ramiro be, I believe, a four-time winner? I'll see. At least 2 he's won. I'm going to double check that for you guys, but appreciate you watching. Keyword is pegged on the side here. You guys can type in GGPoker space Jonathan space your GGPoker username or a friend's if you are not in a jurisdiction that can play. And from there, you will get either a $50 or $100 ticket. And actually, it's going to be a 50, right? Because it's one of your players and there's only 2 of them left. So it'll be a $50 GG, I believe, cash ticket. And that is what will be awarded to you. So good luck to those. I will queue it up. We'll choose a winner. We'll let you know who wins. And then the Twitter as well, Jeff Bros Poker on Twitter. Pin tweet, go there right now, retweet, do your thing, type in whatever, say hi, and that is a 50 cash giveaway. So those 2 things are eligible. And does Lucky have a chance? There's Ramiro just on fire, and these are big hands. Heads up,
These might just get in. I mean, I don't know if he's going to call or shove. I think call, but with how much Ramiro's picked on him, he might just okay. I was gonna say I really want to see a heads up match here, so I'm glad he didn't shove because these are the 2. If I could pick 2 guys to watch play heads up, I would have chosen these 2 because they're the most unorthodox players of the table. You've got Lucky, no one else would have folded that 10-8 suited in the big blind, and then you've got Ramiro. No one else, save possibly Adamo, would be opening the ace 2-0, but I don't think anyone at this table would have played the 8-4 suited limp, the ace queen suited limp. It's just 2 guys who are thinking about the game really differently, and I find that fascinating to watch heads up. So I hope we get a long one. To be honest, I'm excited to see what they've got. I think there's a lot of unpredictability.
Absolutely, well said, and I agree with you. Could have thought about the peel there, although starts getting to be a lot of the chips, and you just have king high, getting a little too cute maybe to peel. Although it's definitely appealing to do that. He does get out of the way, and now I mean Queen Jack. We're getting sort of low on the big blinds, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen a limp yet. Granted, it was 30 before, but now we're playing 20, 4-3-0. Pretty often a limp from most people there, and maybe even sprinkle in the fold with this incredibly small ante. But yeah, opts for the open. Queen Jack O could have potentially shoved. Defends.
And 3-4 gets quite a nice flop there. Flops the pair and gut shot to the wheel there. As I got the chat up, going to pick a winner. You guys got to hit the thumbs up as well. See, a lot of you have done that. So good luck to everyone in the giveaway right now.
Ming does limp the ace 3.
Does limp. Oh, not Nacho as well. Nacho's been tuning in a bunch. I had a buddy said he was over at his house and he had it up on the big screen. Want to always say hi. He's been on a bunch, been on quite a heater. You're a Nacho. You battle with Nacho a fair amount live. I mean, you probably
yeah. I think relative to the amount of tournaments we played that we were both in, not so much. I don't think we were at each other's table a ton, but still, we're playing small field tournaments. So Nacho and I must have played 50 orbits last year at least.
Yeah, no, it's hard to avoid, right? If you play in these 50, 100 person fields, you're going to run into people. And here we go. Jack Queen going to shove, dominates, but Jack 7, not quite enough hand. Lucky Ming, can he double? Can he make this a match? Get around 5 million, get it down to 2-1 right now. He is further down. What's that? 5-1, about a little more even. Deficit, ace 10, going to come in raising.
Yeah, he limped the ace 3, probably looking to limp shove like last time. Wow, look at this. Ramiro has a very unorthodox heads-up game. He's played only opens on the button so far, and yeah, just kind of attacking all over. See if he inserts any limp. Nope, just playing a pure open on the button.
And this is going to be a nice flop for Lucky Ming, who does find the pair. As we know, it's hard to make that. And a clock issue for Ramiro. He's getting a little bit low on the clock. That could come into play if this continues, although still got a minute, and he's playing pretty quick, and I think he's aware of that. So
3-barrel from Ramiro, 3 calls from Lucky Ming.
You don't think you think he's just going to check call it down, huh?
Yeah. I think we're going to see Ramiro just fire, and Lucky's going to make 3 good calls.
Let's see. The 5 of hearts, you're so far so
Big
good.
bet.
You are a heads-up specialist.
We're going to need a we're going to need the right river. It certainly can't be a jack. I don't know that Ramiro's going to go for it on a king. 5 precludes the possibility. Let's see if we can get phase 2.
Big bet. Big bet in this
It's a
situation.
very healthy bet. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. Wonder if Ming is considering
raising it?
Yeah, I wonder if he's worried that the counterfeiting, is such an issue that he might just think, if I continue, I need to raise. I don't think so, but I'm getting more and more suspicious that he's not going to call with all this time. I think sometimes, you see a player who maybe has acted so quickly and then they take a ton of time and they're worried they look weak. They're like, oh, well, now at this point, he'll know I have a 3. And so, But yeah, Ramiro's pressure, unorthodox as it is in many spots, particularly the sizing, it's been very effective. I think a player with Ramiro's approach, they're often some of the most interesting people to talk poker with. You get so many thoughts that might not have occurred to you otherwise, and kind of getting out of your own echo chamber, you pick up some good ideas that, like I said, might never have occurred to you otherwise.
Yep. Well, 8 high. Or I guess what, the 10. Well, so just gonna get him off. They both had absolutely nothing there. So nice 3 million still. He's hanging in. That was a chance, maybe that 3x to assert himself, but still in it.
Mm-hmm.
3 gonna fold. He folds a 10-5 suited there.
Okay, so when we see 10-5 suited fold to essentially 2.2x, Ramiro is absolutely playing the perfect strategy on the button. There's no need to be limping if your guy is folding that strong. And, I don't think Lucky Ming is going to be 3-betting particularly light either. So it's interesting how quickly you can move so far from baseline when you're playing heads up. And yeah, I think Ramiro, he absolutely nailed it. That opening ATC on the button is just going to print. This one's not going to print.
Yeah, Ming limps to ace-9 off, then gets top, and now queen-10 with the 2 overs and 1 club going to come and attack. Let's see if Ming just springs or he just calls and closes his eyes. I'm not sure at this point. He's shown me a mixed bag of.
I think we're seeing I think we're seeing a raise. I feel like he's going to go to like 1.1, but I don't know.
He's really taking his time in these spots, though. Yeah, last time he folded, obviously not folding. He's just thinking about, he's just getting in the JJ head. What would Jonathan do? And he said 1.1. He's right, spot on. And queen 10. This is actually a very inviting raise, but there's not much behind. The implied odds aren't so much there.
Oh my gosh, he calls.
Gets the card that he wanted.
What a heads-up match, man! I did not see that coming. Ming would not have been my guy to call there. Was he just gonna rip it in? Sick. That's such a lead that it's like if you get shoved, I mean, realistically, he should call.
Wow.
What a hand.
End it. In a peculiar hand, it's about 1 out of 4 will hit something that would end it. Is it possible? It is a 3 across, and that's a club. 8. Yeah, that's
wow.
Interesting. And
what a hand.
That is up there for candidate of the day. We've seen a few candidate of the day hands, but that was interesting. Ooh, ace,
that was a cool hand.
Could Ming get aggressive here? No, just calls. Okay. 7, 9, 10. Not such a great flop for 3s. Neither player loves this board. 730 in the middle. Can Lucky Ming get his GG Million championship? Can he get his can he do it? I don't know. I mean, he could do it. He's 2-1 dog. It's not over. Anything can happen. 2-1, and 3 is going to get to show it down. What do you think? What do you think? Can Ming find a way, or is it too tall a task? I mean, it's heads up. Anything could happen. Ming is, it's possible, obviously. It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible heads up. I think with that 10-5 suited fold in the big blind, that was so concerning that I have to say Ramiro is the favorite, all things being equal. And then you add in a 2-1 chip lead. I'm going to bet 70% on Ramiro winning this, maybe a drop higher. But they're both showing unique approaches that it's tough to figure out. Yeah, it's tough. Be curious to see what size Ming chooses here. Definitely see some different approaches heads up. Goes pretty large. I think that's probably a pretty good approach against Ramiro. He seems not shy to peel light. So Ming limps the 8-3-0 here on the button. So he's definitely, probably looked into heads up and realized you're supposed to not really fold the button much at all. But honestly, 8-3-0, it's so close. I think limp is good though. Curious to see what he does here. This is like 40 blinds. Wonder if Ming has a shoving range at all. When your opponent is opening the button ATC, you can actually print by having a lot of shoves in the big blind. This hand being, kind of chief among them. But I don't know, not many people.
This is part of the percentage plan to get Ming to a title is flop middle set on the 2-3 queen rainbow with the gut shot.
Even though Ramiro would call a check raise here, I think you're muted, Jeff. Even though he'd call a check raise, if Ming could see his hand, I think he still wants to play a call. The problem here is that so often Ramiro's going to find a fold on the turn, and if not the turn, he'll always fold the river unimproved. Whereas if you are check calling, you get the chance for Ramiro to put you all in by the river with nothing.
Right, and this actually is one of the ones where even like the 5 with the 5 in his hand, the ace comes. This would have been a pretty nice card for him to barrel, put pressure on all the 3s and 2s, and
yeah. I think Ramiro, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, he's facing a big size here, so he's got to assume this is not a queen anymore. Had Ming found a small size, wow, still peels.
He might really get this done. Lucky Ming.
Now, if you're Ming, you got to knock the table. It's
Can you knuckle
very
this?
tough to
Do you
find.
have it? He's not going to
I would never knuckle it because I would say the opponent has nothing left to bluff. Like he either has me beat with 4-5 queens or aces, or almost certainly he has a queen or maybe like an ace-4, ace-5. Yeah, you have to shove if you're Ming there.
Yeah.
Pretty wild peel by Ramiro on the turn for that price and pretty quickly. Granted, he has no time.
We officially have a even ball game with basically a coin flip hand. I mean, this isn't going to get in pre, but like this could get 3-bet call just flat. Okay, we're back to
flat. So yeah, I think that says something about Ramiro's confidence in the match. I think he says, look, I don't need to be trying to get all my money in for, 60 blinds with pocket 8s. I don't need to start this with a 3-bet. Some wild play. Goes for the check raise. This is like, one of those check raises where when you get called, you just kind of have no idea where you're at.
All right, new odds. Where are we at right now? I think Lucky Ming is back in business. I mean, we're in the 65-35, maybe 60, a little less.
Yeah, I like 60-40 Ramiro.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a drop, actually a little bit more. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know who kind of, yeah. The 6-5 calls from Ramiro, the turn call, that was pretty painful. That's a really costly lead. So, it's difficult to say in terms of Lucky Ming's pre-flop strategy. It's really, really suboptimal. But Ramiro, he might have a little too much gamble post-flop against an opponent who has not shown much in the way of aggression, and he's kind of treating him like he's Michael Adamo with one card.
Yep, that's spot on. But listen, but first, for the record, on my side, and I think you say the same, like we said, this was the match we wanted. I want to see these two guys play. They've unconventional. There is history here.
Yeah.
And like, credit to them. Big score for both of them. Whoever gets the title. We're playing for 70 G's right now. It's a big heads up match. No deal making available. Really, again,
really?
Congrats. Yeah.
That's cool.
$250,000 score for each of these players. So let's first just everyone here. Congratulations, good luck, and now it's nice. We get to see a battle. This isn't just like over. It could have been over in one hand and whatever. We got a ball game that's anyone's taking right now, and yeah.
Just the GG Millions thing or GG tournaments? What's the no deal making?
It's for the millions, but there is deal making.
Very cool.
GG, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got the GG Millions live as well now. So it keeps track of live earnings and your resident, your results and total buy-ins and stuff. It's pretty cool. So they're making it like a way to track. So yeah, you can see Lucky Ming though. He does have some results on here. I mean, he plays Cambodia, getting some love. Maybe the first Cambodia GG Million title.
Kings
and Kings to 10 Jack. This has got problems written over it if Lucky Ming spikes something, and so far so good. Doesn't hit the Jack or 10, and gonna be hopefully for his sake, if he can avoid, he can avoid, I guess, for this price, the 2 overs. I mean, he doesn't have a heart, though. See if he just gets away or if he wants to go peeling. Let's go peeling.
Ooh, goes for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we still have a game. Still wide open. Blind 71-40. A lot of play. Jack 3, Jack 8. Both, yeah. Interesting too about the limps too. You're right. Especially when Lucky Ming was pretty short. I would expected some more limps. Wasn't really happening, but again,
changing it up.
Yeah, they're switching stuff up on us. Gonna pick the winner here shortly for that giveaway. Remember, guys, hit the thumbs up. That's the first part of the giveaway. Next is to type in GGPoker space Jonathan space your GGPoker username, and Jack 3 gonna get the better hand to fold. Jack 10 suited gets the walk. Still very tight here, very tight.
What did Ramiro fold on the button there?
I did not see that. I didn't see what he gave up. I think it was maybe it was a hand before. I thought it was like Jack Deuce, but maybe I'm just making that up.
Gotcha. It's a lot of hand to fold.
I don't think might be seeing things, but 10s to Queen 9. Queen 9 gonna miss here. Small bet takes it down. Lucky Ming just kind of plugging away, tightening it up. 7.5 to 9 mil. Very even and 2 decent hands here. I don't have to ask you. You know what the computer hand is. I know you're a heads-up specialist. You know that.
Isn't that? I thought it was Queen 7-0. Okay.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
I would have laid a lot that you know what that is, and this is now a good card for Ming, who's still in the lead and does give a double gutter. No chips put in. See if Lucky's going for any value or just gonna be happy to check.
Big ISO.
Yeah, I like Ramiro's game. I do feel like the opponent in particular, I think there's a couple spots where he's definitely like neglected the exploit opportunities, or just sort of like, blacked out on the game plan. You know what I mean? I think he's got a really good game. I just think in this particular case, he at the same time he does show signs of understanding or trying to limit like the eights, right? That he's trying to take down variance and go post flop. But it's kind of funny. They do just have such unique styles. And I think they both play, you know, Ramiro's definitely shown a lot of range, right? He's really shown us a full bag of tricks today.
Yep, definitely.
We had no mystery hands today. It's weird. Usually we have
What's a mystery hand?
Like the face down, cards are face down, and then you get to like play everyone, you know, but just basically the whole cards down except for one player. Would have been fun to guess what some of these guys were doing or would do, but
gotcha.
It's all right. We'll do it again, Jonathan. We'll run it back in the future. We'll have to do some more. These are fun. I really do enjoy it and appreciate you coming on today.
Pleasure.
Got to mention last week, Jonathan would have been on, but if you weren't here at the start of the show, he missed last week because he was deep in the Hard Rock main event. Got 5th place out of over 1,000 entries. And what was that? What'd that pay? 170, I think I saw 160, something like that.
Yep. Nice.
Good score.
It's a tough call there with the threes. You know, from Ramiro. I wonder if he'll turn into a bluff on this ace river, realizing that, you know,
yeah, there might be a little timing tell there too. Like it looked uncomfortable. You know, I mean, if you hit the ace, you wouldn't do this. If you had a queen, I don't know. He like kind of snap checked it. I think he might, but he does go for it. Does Lucky Ming?
What a spot!
Can he dig in? I don't think he's gonna do. I mean, this would be savage.
I don't know. Look, if you're Lucky Ming, you're trying to think, does he really want to shove an ace? Is that the play that I expect here? At the same time, what floats turn into a bluff? You're right. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. There was no flush draw.
No fear. He's got
Can't
29 seconds. 29 seconds on the clock. Yeah. I got to remind you. Let me tell you about Ramiro. So he has two titles. He has, 2 titles. This would be his 3rd. This is going for his 3rd. And that was a big moment there. That was Lucky Ming.
A hell of a bluff. That was a big swing.
Ramiro, 29 seconds here. Check that chess clock out. King 4. Behind here, 3-8 makes the pair. King 4. That was a good opportunity, man. Ming, that was I would like to see him think a little longer on that.
Yeah. I think this King 4 bet is indicative of a lot of what we're seeing, and a lot of what people do heads up is they kind of just see bet when in doubt. When realistically in heads up, you want to be playing a lot of checks. It's more like button versus big blind than, you know, early position versus big blind.
It's a very interesting way to say it. Makes a lot of sense. And yeah, let's see. Ming probably going to shoot this one up.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot because certainly he's ahead of Ramiro's range, but should Ramiro shove on him, he's in a really awkward spot. You know, you never really wanted to get 33 blinds in with King Jack O. You know, I think that's probably a good spot to peel. In this case, works out really well.
Deuce 4 suited, a lot of potential. Will call. Takes the lead, 7-8, got 2 overs to that middle 6, got the kind of some nice turns to connect on it based on his game and how I would imagine some sort of smallish bet. Ramiro's shown us some check raises with bottom pairs, certainly going to at least call 6 pairs. Pretty good card for Ramiro. He's already in the lead. He's still in the lead, and then the lead, like that lead turn, and sort of, especially how Lucky plays. I think that's going to accomplish a lot.
Yeah. I think he's trying to save himself from a tough decision facing a bet.
Lucky Ming got a nice suited connector here, 6-7 suited. Let's take a flop and does find it. This is interesting. We got the over and the second nut flush draw and a mid pair.
Yeah.
And let's see how
what we've seen.
Get.
So Ramiro does opt for a small bet here. So, you know, the mono board brings it out of him. But yeah, what we've seen from him, well, he does spike, but we expect he was going to be putting 3 in pretty frequently if he missed. You know, I expect, yeah, that Ramiro is going to go for it here. It just, Ming has not presented as the type of opponent who is going to turn many hands into a bluff on the river. So I think Ramiro is saying, I got to carve out my own value here. I have the best hand, and this guy knows I'm aggressive. Let's just hope he has a diamond and go for it.
Yep. Cash is on the table. That means it is heads up. This is, again, playing a winner. 70,000 difference between first and second. Title on the line. What are your thoughts about trophies and online? I know you're more of a live guy now, but like, do you like the idea of trophies for some of the bigger events or series? Do you think
Yeah,
that's cool?
trophies
Like,
for everything. People like trophies. Why not? Cost $20 for the operator, and some people are really happy to have it.
I don't think it costs even $20. I guess with shipping, right? But my idea, this is where I feel would be great, is like you do it for the year on a site. So GG, right? You play all year round, 2024. You win the millions 3 times or whatever, one time. You win like a couple other series events, and they do it for bracelets, right? The bracelets, but to have like, and then you get like at the end of the year, you get shipped. If you won 9 trophies for the year, they ship you one time. So you can save shipping costs. You don't need it all at once. You just kind of get like you get your trophy box at the end of the year.
That's cool.
I think that would like,
Yeah.
instead of every week, like Full Tilt. Remember, you used to knock out pros and you get
the
shirts every week. It was ridiculous, dude. How much money did they blow on shipping? They probably spent like, you know, whatever. I guess marketing, maybe it didn't matter, but still.
At least they managed everything else really well.
Yeah, so they got something right. But that was a good time. That was a fun time. Like that during the Full Tilt days, that was a good heyday of poker for all.
Yeah. Wow, Ramiro is just slamming the deck.
Ramiro's got lucky back down pegged to a tough situation here. What's this? 4-1? No, 7, 3.5 times. Yeah, he's in good spot.
Keeps the pressure on. We'll see what Lucky Ming does 10-2 suited now. Still the fold. You wonder if our commentary seeps in from 30 minutes. It's like advice from the past.
This is not a good spot. 6-4 to 6s, but all right. That was a timely fold. He was not going to be getting no flop there, but does save a couple extra chips, and just the 9 deuce off. He's just going for it. He's still just no limping. You would definitely, I would think there would be some limps on these stack depths, but not.
Yeah, but when you're getting the folds that he's producing, you know, I think, and you're not expecting any extra shoves coming in, I think Ramiro has really nailed it on the pre-flop play.
For sure. No, yeah, it doesn't. You got it. Why would you? Why would you not raise?
Yep. I think something that you'll see sometimes, you know, given that so many players have such little experience heads up, is they really just don't want to feel accountable for their loss. So they tend to get a little bit nitty towards the end. They don't want to shove something that wasn't a shove. They don't want to bluff it off. And you can kind of lean on a lot of people here because they kind of want to, they see the writing on the wall. He's, you know, 4.5 to 1 dog, and he just doesn't want it to be because he did something dumb. I think that can be a common thing. You know, when someone is such a chip deficit, people are sometimes a little bit scared. You know, he's not going to be scared with these 5s.
Got to pick a winner here for the $50. Remember to hit the thumbs up. You got to hit the thumbs up on the YouTube chat, plus type in GG Poker Space Jonathan and username. And we're getting close here. 6160, I'm sorry, 8160 level. Probably going to be seeing it come to the finish line here. And on Twitter, Jeff.
Spike. And he checks it. Not what you'd expect, given how he's been approaching Ming here. Pretty cool card to check raise, not that it will work. Slams it in.
Yep. Does avoid. Lucky Ming avoids a tough spot. He doesn't have to put chips in Jack 4 suited. King 8 slam, dunk, shove, just piles of Jack 4 suited, can't do much. And now 2.7 million. It's sort of reserved to the fate here. He's going to need to get back in. He got life there. He got up to over 5, and he got to about even.
Yeah, that was interesting how quickly Ramiro decided King 8 was what he wanted to rip for 18 bigs. Lucky Ming kind of following suit. Sometimes the shoves can be contagious where people are small balling back and forth for a while, then one guy starts ripping and the other guy says, "Yep, let's do that."
You're right. I mean, yeah, I'm a little surprised by that too. I'm just a little surprised he doesn't go for the limps at this stack depth. At this stack exact depth. Like you're right, he's gonna force folds, but I just feel like there's at some point you would just shift and just go full limp. But we did discuss that it's working to get the fold. So
Yeah, here he goes for an ISO. It's just kind of relentless aggression from Ramiro.
all right, the winner. I'm gonna put it in. I gotta do it on my phone because I don't have the computer space. So the winner is George Cabello. Congrats. Let's see if it's gonna pop up. Okay, $50 coming your way. Hope you spin it up. Hope you make the dream
Ooh,
here.
tough timing for Ming there. Goes for the call.
And Ramiro, it doesn't feel fair. Aces heads up. Goes for a small.
It's interesting. Last time was 7-5-2 when he had kings against the Jack 10-0 and the turn came a queen. It's pretty similar.
There's a potential, the spot, but he does rip it. Not going to call off a 7-high. 15 million to about 2. Big advantage, Ramiro. Can he get his third title? GGMillion, 70K on the line. And 8-4 suits. Okay, there we go. There's some limps. So at some point he did convert from the thing. He just decided there is going to just be those shoves, come in and save a few chips, and then also maybe get the trap, right? Get the big, you start to work that side of it. Lucky Ming is a big dog now, ladies and gentlemen. We can cheer for him, but he is going to need a lot. The blinds are up 100, 200, and here we go. Does no? I guess still, yeah. Okay, so he does min raise the ace queen versus limp. I guess limp category probably gonna. There will be some limps with the big pairs, but the ace queen off is just one of those that's nice. You want to get it in, but you also don't want to let him just check back. 8-5 off, and here we go. Jack Queen hanging on. We are officially over. We're getting in record territory for the length of the stream today, but it's been an enjoyable one, John. I think you can plug this in. There's some valuable takeaways, and it's been fun to watch and enjoy the audience. Appreciate you guys tuning in, taking part in the giveaway. Still the Twitter one, Jeff Bros Poker. Pin tweet, you can retweet, you can still type in the giveaway there, and you are going to be getting 50 cash. Someone who enters that. So appreciate everyone a part of that today. Again, Jonathan, South Florida. I am actually in Puerto Rico. I am here right now and on a boat, about to go on a cruise. And I just hate to cancel. I even had it. We had it queued up for a host thing. I got here, got set up. The internet's good, and I don't like missing these. So I saw it through, man. I saw the lineup too. I'm like, this is one I want to watch, and glad we got to do it, and hopefully we can do it again. And also, I want to say it's not guaranteed, but booth magic is a thing on the show. A lot of people have come on. Instant success on GG Millions, instant success live. I mean, a lot of players are already so good, so we can't take all the credit, but like including yourself. But generally, great results follow. So just keep that in mind when you're playing the next tournament. That probably something good's going to happen. So
I like that.
Yeah,
sounds great. Yeah, Ramiro had a close one there. 8.5 big blinds, king 2 off. Oh, here we go.
Slightly favorable, and he's got the flush. A lot of chop, but could it be? It is going to likely. I don't even want to say out loud because that river miracle. It's 50-50 though, and it is going to be. That's a big card, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. 3 across, 3. So 3 diamonds. No 4, no 5. Chop it up. 2 million. Lucky Ming, man. Cambodia is in the building. A7, Queen 7. The computer hand is offsuit. That's suited. Will he call though for it? It's close. It's getting that was
close. That's that's a close one.
Like you said, probably favors his position. And we're gonna see 5 here. We are gonna see 5.
He limps it. There's the limp you were looking for, and it works out.
It does, but this is the one that's actually live. 9-10 suited. We are, baby, we get the full money's worth here. He can turn him dead. He does it. The 7, we got to keep on going. We are still in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, Lucky Ming will not be denied. Cambodia is fighting. They are fighting for a title. His first could be, and this is Ramiro just could taste his third. 70G difference is still going here. 4
You
million
let
to
the
play.
captain know, ship staying in port.
We are literally taking off, actually, but we're Starlink. We are on Starlink. That's this is
Awesome.
yeah, I think we'll be okay, but if not, you can finish it out. But it is moving.
Nice.
We started moving. King 3, King 5 suited. Ooh. Couple
What's
of
your
good.
4-year-old looking forward to most on the cruise?
So I'd done one of the cruise was at Disney, which was obviously for them, and he had a time of his life. This I'm not really sure.
Nice.
It's a different one. I don't know. Like
Mhm.
there's the kid activities. I got a kids club, but he just loves at that age you run around. It's like a hotel on the water. I'm sure
Yeah,
he's got his cousin here and who's around the
that's
same age,
sweet.
and they're. I hope I get to see him at all. That's like I'm set. When I'm around, it's either you're the hero or I don't want to see you. So we'll see. I think he's gonna be busy
I hear you.
busy this trip, but
Nice. He's
8-10
upped it
suited.
to the 3x here. He's ramping up the variance here.
We can't expect anything the same. We've gotten these guys they've literally pulled out every iron in the bag
Yeah.
today. We've seen limps. We've seen was a 3-7 suited limp on the button. We've seen a lot. We've seen tight
Mhm.
folds. We've seen loose opens. We've seen a lot, and this has been fun. This is actually, I think, the record. It's up there. It's like that. This is definitely on all the shows. Is probably top 3 longest. I don't know if it's actually the longest, but this is like. I mean, we are now. What is this? 3 hours and 25 minutes. I think. Usually
Wow.
about 2 hour, 2.5 max. So again, appreciate you did earn a nice dinner though. It's this isn't Chick-fil-A. I got you a good spot. You can choose it. But I got a couple recommendations.
Fantastic.
We'll do it, and we're in the same zip code roughly. So you
Yeah.
can cash me in on that.
Excellent. Let's see what he does here. Got definitely options.
Calls, gut shot. This is a chance. To be fair, I feel like he's not been winning too many of these. These are the ones where I feel like he's sort of lacked a bit as like these spots where semi bluffs or as a chance he's kind of played in not so aggressively and
Yeah.
it's sort of worked against him. That would be one of my only like critiques of Lucky Ming. Like even here, I mean, this has got backdoor clubs. He's got he's got things happening here, and I
He's
just
never
like that's a
binking these. Whenever he calls, it just doesn't seem to come as his card. Case in point, and good chance he gets bluffed off here. And I think this kind of thing has happened a lot. Previously, they might have been looser calls, the Jack 10, the Jack 9, but this one, of course, was a mandatory peel. And they just, he has not found that card on the turn that really helps him stick around. Maybe he
yeah.
muscles up, though. Maybe he decides Ramiro has just bet too many turn cards and he just goes for it. But that would not seem to go along with what we've been seeing.
Yeah, that's not in the playbook. I don't think there. And then that turn is just no club, no nothing else. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really sniff a good situation here though. Queen 4 suited on the button and just starts to rip it. Takes it down. He's fighting, man. Lucky Ming is not to be denied. I'm telling you, this isn't going to go down without a fight.
Yeah.
The 9-10 suited, he turn Jin, Ace King, the 9-10. Now he's 7-8, 9-4. Definitely got potential here. Same almost situation, right? He's got the gut shot and sort of 2 overs to the middle card. Let's see if he can get. He does the check back. Has a diamond as well. This feels like a good time. He's got to win this one. And
Seems like a good opportunity to bluff, and it's not going to go well. Oh, saves the chips again.
passes it. And I mean, the 9-4
Yeah.
at this point just feels going to have the best hand. What a check jam. Chuck raise, little curveball from Ming, no?
I think, like you said, that doesn't seem to be in the playbook today.
It's not, but down to 15, 16, just over 16, 17 blinds, getting short 7-9. Does he? Yeah, he does have this limp though off the stack size. I will say he's adjusted a little bit with the limp, right? And on the
You know
button,
what
at
it
least to
kind of
like
reminds me though? You know how like in the playoffs sometimes an NFL team will break out a trick play and no doubt they've been practicing since the beginning of the season. They saved it for an important part. But you know what you never see? You never see that trick play come out in overtime because they used it before then. They weren't planning on overtime. This is kind of overtime here. That's why I don't feel like we're going to see it from Lucky Ming. It's like if we were going to see it, it would have already happened.
right.
I just don't think he was.
I'll tell you what he's
Yeah.
got going for him, though. He's got Ramiro down to 14 seconds on the chess clock. If he can get back up to 5-6 million, maybe he can get him a little bit of clock equity. And this is going to be a moment.
Ooh,
right?
here it is.
Queen Jack deuces. This could be over, or we could be in a whole new ballgame. Based on it's the longest show we've seen a long time. Why wouldn't it be 92% after the flop, 95%, 19 out of 20? We are going to continue on, and it would have to be an offsuit deuce, and that is. I guess he had both deuces, right? Because the deuce of clubs.
Sounded like the wind got knocked out of you when the flop came there.
Yeah, it was like I couldn't believe it was that strong of a flop. And Lucky Ming has got Ramiro down to 14 seconds with Motown here, Jack 5, not suited.
Look, he disconnected with kings. He was out for the count for what, a good minute and a half. It's a non-zero. Lucky Ming is going to be zooming up big blinds.
Listen, there's internet sweat, there's clock sweat, there's anything can happen sweat, and honestly, Lucky again played a good brand. I think heads up, definitely not something that's his like specialty, but sure. He's had a great score today, $250,000 going his way, and hope to see more of him. And again, anything can happen. It's not over.
Wait, did you just give him second place?
No, I said he got at least. Well, he got a $250,000 score locked up.
Okay, sorry, I misheard.
No, I'm not betting against a guy named Lucky Ming, bro. I'm not counting out Lucky Ming ever.
Wow.
Oh,
is that enough?
Look at this. Maybe this is where it turns, like a little that can change. That's a big swing right there to take that spot. He hasn't been taking it and just kind of go throw him for a bit.
I love how fast these guys are playing too. They're just like, yeah, let's figure it out. I like this button.
This is a good spot for Ming. Wow, actually, he's got a great spot here because there's a few things that could work for him. He could just make his hand. He can just improve, and he's got him on now with the deuce only, and he's also, this is a good situation for him.
This would be a very difficult call for Ramiro. It's good fold.
That card, it can't be good to continue there. So, all right, 6 million to 10 million. At home, I hope you're enjoying. We're enjoying, having fun again. Jonathan Jaffe, over 11 million in earnings, has done many things in the poker world, and he is now with us for a potentially record show. I should know, but it's 3.5 hours.
Oh, we got him.
There.
Got him with the limp.
You better believe that there's not. There's just. You got to believe it's not over till it's over. That's just how poker works. This is back to a battle. Maybe Dom. Wow, folds a deuce 5 suited for a min raise, basically. 2.2 was it? Yeah. Oh, dominated here again. Ramiro going to definitely be cranking this one. 900, 750. Yeah, it goes upstairs. And can Lucky Ming? For that sizing, it's attractive. He comes in, flops the flush draw. Hello. This has got potential. Ramiro, although ace-8 suited, backdoor nut flush draw, ace high is going to come out betting, and Lucky might, if he gets aggressive here, he's got several options. See if he can find a semi-bluff, or does he just check, take his equity? He needs a 5 or a diamond to get to a winner.
I think he's going to find a winner one way or another.
Wow,
but does Ramiro open up and bluff now? He might be trying to take Lucky off a 9.
He's got 11 seconds on the shot clock, the chess clock. We got all the drama today. This has been a very special show. He's going for it.
I think we're seeing 1.8. Yeah.
Wow.
3.6. He's found it when he's needed to.
Wow, he used that valuable clock. Wild hand there.
Lucky snap fold.
He's gonna so he's going for maybe Lucky. Does he just send it in, Jerome? There it is. 5.5 minutes to 5 seconds. Jonathan, you might get to see the shot clock zeros.
Yeah.
You might get to witness it.
Mm-hmm.
He's limping. Okay, he sets the check back, get his opponent to hit a pair that he's covering with the 3s, and he's still got a few stuff. And that is pretty disgruntled customer on the running deuces is tough.
I mean, if you're Ming, you might have a pretty good hand to call here, even versus this big bet. I would find a call here a lot against Ramiro. Yeah, I like calling if I'm Ming here. It's pretty tough with how aggressive he's been. There's just so many bluffs, and you don't put him on a 2 almost ever. You're mostly just worried about a 9. Great fold.
Bravo.
Really good fold. Yeah.
Bravo.
I'm giving 1.5 over to Ramiro there every time.
10-4, gonna fold.
It's a big fold on the button.
King, queen, jack, 4. Suited, the Robbie. Some people get carried away with this. She's been, there it is. Calls it. This has got potential for the last or a double hand. And look at this. Checks back in the top pair. Jack 4 going to be kind of lost here. This is definitely one that was quite a fortunate turn card. Gotta believe he's going to be betting something healthy. Not the most appealing card if you're Ramiro, but how do you just fold? You can't. And Ramiro loses a second on the clock, and lucky on this board. This is a lot of hand and heads up to not bet, but at the same time, there's a lot happening here too. I think he is going to go for something. And he goes for the enchilada. Can you imagine? Nah, Ramiro knows. Ramiro's not calling there. Five, 6 off. Lucky Ming. Just doesn't. He's not a big defender, huh? We're just gonna go ahead and say.
No, yeah, he's very snug pre-flop heads up.
There's been some like the 10 deuce suited, the 10-8 suited, just rips the ace 5 now. Lucky Ming is he's randomizing heads up. I think pre-flop too. He's got a lot going on. This guy, Lucky Ming is. I'm not betting against him, man. I'm just not going to give up on him. I don't know the percentages, but there's the computer hand. He did show us kind of a wild like shove, right? One hand he kind of just went
9-8-0. Yeah, he ripped the 9-8-0 over a 5-2-0 open. Or 5-3.
8-5 suited, queen 8 limping. Ramiro decides to check back, flops the flush draw. Pretty good situation again here, as Ramiro is, can't really do much. You're just dead to so many things. I mean, queen 8. The guy's got. I mean, this
It's an interesting raise.
It's gonna be interesting because Lucky's gonna call or raise. He raises, and this is reminiscent of Phil Ivey in Monaco. That raise.
Ramiro,
all right, this is street poker. Just when you think you want to have another highlight reel hand that we don't have.
Ming's got to be shaking now.
Oh goodness! Oh. And now though, the ace, the king, the jack.
I think he's gonna turn it into a bluff now. Though
bomb it in, it's just gonna.
He's gonna bomb it, and Ming's gonna fold because don't you think he has a king?
Ming's calling.
You think so? I mean, it just seems like it's got to be a king. I don't know what I beat.
I know, but I think Ming's gonna die. I think you're right, but I just feel like Ming's gonna sort this one out and be the hero.
Yeah,
he's doing this
right.
with Cambodia. He's got a flush. He's like, does he really shove a king? Did he play a king this way? I guess he would play a jack this way. Take some time, Lucky Ming. We've already been here 3 hours and a half. Take a second, think this through, man. Ramiro's got 2 seconds on the shot clock. I mean, this is exciting. This is exciting. I think Lucky's gonna he's gonna find it, dude. He's gonna find a title, the glory. He's gonna everyone at this final table would have a win. It's not over even if he calls. By the way, obviously it's still has.
I'm betting on fold. I think he's desperately looking for what do I beat here, and he
Lucky
just beats
Ming, baby.
a
Show us.
complete
He doesn't
random
usually
bluff.
tank like this. He's really dialed in. I'm telling you, Lucky Ming's gonna bing it. He's gonna bank it. Guy at home, one call, twofold. What do you think? I'm going call. I think Lucky Ming's just gonna look at that green, think about the money, and he's just gonna say, he's just like, you know what, man? I don't believe you. It's a flush. It's heads up. It's a heads up flush.
Yeah.
85.
It is a flush.
It's an 8. It's lucky. It's green. It's flushing. It's good. It's all of it. He's calling. Lucky Ming isn't. He doesn't. They say the only problem is you think long, you think wrong. If he gets to 315, I think he's screwed. If he can next 25 seconds, I think he's got to sort this out. Dude, Ramiro's he's like a nut. This guy's been so wild, man.
I agree. I think you're convincing yourself, though.
He's got 15 seconds, and he's hitting it. Lucky Ming. 70K on the line. Title on the line. I think he's doing it. I think if it goes past 315, he's in trouble. I don't know now. I'm not. It's a toss up. Lucky Ming, I'd love to get the cam shot. You can do that.
What's Ramiro feeling right now? Ramiro's got to know he's got a flush, right? He's just like, this is a flush, isn't it?
Right. There's no, or I guess an ace would tank, but you're right. Probably a flush. This is a flush tank.
Yeah, I
Ramiro
mean,
has 2 seconds on his shot clock. The good news is Lucky's in the tournament either way. He's going to fold and have chips, or he's going to call and be massive chip leader and just literally put a highlight reel on. This is Lucky Ming, baby. I knew it. I knew my guy. I knew he's going to call there, man. What a savage. He's got a 2-1 lead. Lock the doors.
You're right. Don't count him out,
man. Wow.
Don't count him out.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
Wow. Everyone, I mean, that is I'm just excited to be here at this point. That is wild stuff. The audience, even a lot of them got it right.
Yeah.
This is now, what's the odds?
Wow.
The blinds are up. Is Lucky Ming? It's like, I think you got to talk favorite at this point with 2-1 chips.
Lucky is probably about 60-40. That's my guess.
Lucky just got turned though. This is bad for Lucky.
Oh yeah, I wasn't paying attention to this hand. But that's the kind of river that saves him some money, probably.
Ramiro is going to be at zeros. He's literally flirting with that 0 shot clock. He's not eliminated.
That's good.
But that would be another very interesting nuance. There's definitely, I'm telling you, there's places poker can go in the future. There's definitely ways to make it more exciting and more dramatic, right? More gamified. Yeah. You're just out if you run out of shot clock at any point in the tournament. They just pick you up.
Execute.
Yeah, there's like something happens that's dramatic, and Lucky's gonna. I just hope he doesn't get run over back to even here. He's I mean, the 6-3, okay.
That's the worry, is that tight pre-flop play. It adds up.
Ooh,
See if he gets a limp in here, because I think if he throws a limp down, he gets an ISO.
Oh, he goes for the bigger size. Wow, even
still probably get a peel here.
No. Oh my goodness, he's so lucky. Click call and win the title, Lucky. He's never calling. He needs to call, Lucky. Show me the call. Close your eyes and win. Here. He's not, right? He thinks
please.
Lucky thought he got him jacks to queens.
Yeah. You're right.
I'm pumped up.
I mean, that's really inspired. Tough when you've got queens and you get 3-bet. It's tough to call.
To be fair, Ramiro's not like going crazy on the 3-bet, so yeah, it's like, you definitely could justify thinking he's just got like a pretty good
small ISO.
Get it in.
You haven't seen Lucky choose to ISO very much.
Wait, he 3-bet him here?
No, it was a limp, and then he went, I think, 3 big blinds, a little bit more.
Wow, this is an intricate board too. This is like everyone's sort of got something. Ramiro, this might take a little time. Oh, he calls, and we have a winner. Lucky has a winning hand if he can hold on here. 3x wins. Ramiro, I don't know if he doesn't have time to think. Oh, he changes a give up. He gives up, man. He gave up. Wow.
Got a little shy after that 5-8. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 13 million. King 8 suited, 8-9 suited. Wow, this could be. He's gonna rip it here.
Pushing it in.
And Ramiro, man, he likes the hand, but doesn't want to call it off with 9 high. This has officially become one of my favorite streams ever. 3 hours, 45 minutes, probably the longest stream we've ever had. Lucky Ming potentially, it would be a 10 blind call here to be ahead for the title. I mean, it would be a pretty fair fight. He's thinking, he's spinning.
Really close.
It's super close. And oh man, to actually to call and have a chance to win, but you know, maybe he just wants a little safer situation. See if he can find it. Here he goes. Queen 10, first in, 10 blinds. There he goes. All right, he's got the trigger though. He's got the ability to push it in. What do you think of that King 3? That's very close. I don't blame him.
Yeah, close but a fold, I think.
Oh my goodness. Lucky Ming with tier 1 ranking hand, ace king suited to end it versus Ramiro. It is a good start. That's 100% Lucky Ming. Ladies and gentlemen, is your champion. That has got all the drama you could want. We are officially 3 hours, 45 minutes on the dot. Record time, record show, records all around. The one unknown, we said at the start of the show, who do we not know? Every player you could go through. Oh, GGMillion champion, all of their 8. Not a GGMillion champion. Now he is. What a day. There's so much to talk about. That was crazy.
Yeah.
What a fun final table. No 3rd title for Ramiro. No 7th title for Adamo. But Lucky Ming is somewhere in Cambodia right now, going absolutely wild. The 8-5 suited call was epic. That was a lot. Give me your thoughts.
He's got to be thrilled. I was thinking while that tank was going on, how does Ramiro feel like the whole time? Imagine, you know, that's so nerve-wracking. And man, what is the feeling when you make that call and you get shown the Queen 8 offsuit? It's just like ecstasy.
That was a lot. Listen, I gotta say, Jonathan, thank you. Last week you had to get pushed back because you were at a final table at the Hard Rock for a lot of money, and people that are aware with you of your game, the pedigree. We appreciate a lot of valuable insight. Really, really cool to talk. And I think everyone at home is going nuts. They had a lot of fun. Hit the heart if you enjoyed it. Hit the thumbs up. Appreciate everyone. Congrats to the winner in the giveaway. We'll be back next week with the same thing. Big names, big prizes, and big guests. So I'll see you. And Jonathan, thank you for the time. Well earned on your dinner championship that you have. You can pick a spot. We'll go there. 3 hours, 45 minutes. Thank you so much for that. And
thanks,
I'll see you soon, man. Keep crushing.
It was fun. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
See you in JG.